Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is The Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould, and I just want to say what a momentous and terrible day it is for Britain with Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's arrest. This is the first arrest, I think, of any member of the royal family since the Duke of Monmouth in 1685.
Oh, I remember
he was arrested for attempting to bring down James II. He was the son of Charles II, and he was executed for it. Pretty dreadful day. Look, what I want to do is go through this a little bit, but we've got other stories to talk about as well, the Chagos Islands. But before we talk about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, I do want to tell you one thing that's extremely important. This is from my YouTube channel, which you can get if you search Andre Walker on YouTube. But it's something that I've discovered. As you know, 100,000 Afghans came to the UK, that fake data breach that Grant Shapps had presided over, and then decided that he was going to allow 100,000 people into the country. How did they pay for the Afghans to come to Britain? Well, they stripped out the funding for the Corsham base, which does our cybersecurity defence. So after a data breach, they decided that it was going to be our own data security that would be reduced as a result of that. And I just find it just absolutely disgusting. But anyway, you can find that on my YouTube channel. I'm here, obviously, with Asher Gould and Pete Barnes. And I guess, look, what can we say about Andrew Mountbatten Windsor? No, I'll tell you what we could say. The Emily Maitlis interview, Pete.
Yes.
In reality now doesn't matter.
No.
It's all just as bad as it gets anyway.
Yeah, I think that's true, actually.
It might matter if it comes to something.
Yeah, so this is what's really important, is he hasn't been charged yet. So realistically, we don't know any more or any less than we did this morning, or realistically at all. The more interesting one for me is actually the King's reaction to this and his comments, where he basically said, through the press, he went to his brother, "You're on your own at this point."
Yes.
I think this was a kind of clear drawing of the line, saying, we can't go anywhere near you, because they're up to their neck in this, unfortunately. I still think we're very much in abdication territory, and I do think...
That's what I worried about. That's why they acted so quickly.
Yeah, it's also one of the reasons, I think, if you notice, that Will has started to make a lot firmer stances on this stuff, and he's started to distance himself even from his father on a lot of it.
Talking in general terms, if you were to undertake an activity during, whilst you are in receipt of a public appointment, i.e. a trade envoy, and I am speaking in general terms because I've not seen the evidence, neither of you. But if you are a trade envoy and you commissioned a report from the Treasury and then handed it over to somebody to tell them about an Icelandic bailout before the bailout took place, then that would be grounds for misconduct.
Yes.
The offence would be if it generally lowered the opinion of the public in your role. Now, I think I got paid by a guy to hand over a report whilst I was a trade envoy. I think people would have a generally less favourable view of trade envoys as a result of that, and that would be the bar for misconduct in public office.
Yeah, what you have to remember is this particular kind of offence is actually done through common law. It's not a full statute, so it's not a tick box exercise, which is one of the reasons it's kind of overused and it's kind of undervalued as well. But I have to admit, it's the difficulty that they're going to have.
So what you're saying is that it's not specifically laid out. It's the opinion of a jury.
Yeah, that's
a
the point.
jury will decide, do I think less of trade envoys because of your actions as a trade envoy, just to be clear.
Yeah, definitely. But it's also the fact that, was he in receipt of a public office? So this is the really important bit, because it's whether you actually held the confidence of the public. And what that means is like it's whether his role was just kind of, oh look, here's Prince Andrew, or was it he had an active role
was
in
the
it?
official trade anyway?
I think his title was something like specialist or something, a special trade envoy. So it was. This is the bit where it's going to be a little bit, which is why it's taken so long for them to kind of bring any kind of charges.
What about Mandelson? Why is he not?
Mandelson's just screwed.
Yeah, basically,
he's not had the same treatment.
Yeah, but it's because he was in an official position. He was a minister. Like his is a lot more straightforward with this particular offence because he was an elected official.
I think the issue with Mandelson is that Mandelson is attempting to say that payments to his partner for doing absolutely nothing have no bearing on the fact that he was giving information to Jeffrey Epstein.
Yeah, pretty much. That seems to be about it.
Now that defence, I would suggest to you, is, well, let's be blunt, the biggest pile of shite you would ever attempt to run in court.
Yeah, pretty much. Yes.
Although
this, you have to remember, this is Peter Mandelson.
I gave official secrets. Sorry, they're not official secrets. I gave confidential documents to a man trading on information in the UK, and my partner was given £75,000, which I forgot I got, and also £4,000 a month.
He's not been arrested, has he? But he's had his flat searched.
Hang on. Here's the critical thing: the partner, for his £4,000 a month at the hedge fund in New York, never went into the office.
Yes.
So to claim
from home.
Therefore,
yeah, it's ridiculous. But you have to remember, this is Peter Mandelson. He's somewhat of the Teflon kind of style of politician, where nothing seems to stick.
Well, are people maybe still involved, which maybe explains why he hasn't. Andrew, it's a very different situation.
People have to stop comparing.
He's got friends in high places.
Yeah. I suppose what you could say. What you could say is that Andrew is A, flight risk, and B, in the case of Mandelson, I mean, obviously, the preservation of evidence is not likely to be an issue for Mandelson, because Mandelson is using official emails, whereas Andrew is using his home email.
Yeah, it's also it's along the lines of what was given. From what I understand, Andrew only really gave kind of the kind of agenda. If you gave the minutes of a meeting, that's a very different thing. But if you kind of just give the agenda, is that enough to hit the evidentiary level to bring the charge?
By the way, of course, it's all allegations at the moment.
Yes, it's all allegations. So this is why he's not been charged.
Did you see his email address?
No.
It was really easy to guess. Oh. Right. Anyway, it was really easy to guess. Well,
Randy Andy at hotmail.com.
No, I'll tell you what they'd done. All they'd done was redacted.co.uk, which was the bit that was easy to get. So they said his email was, what was it? DOY, Duke of York, at RL, Royal Lodge, WGP, Windsor Great Park, and then redacted the rest.
Oh, wow.
And you go, well, it's either going to be .com or .co.uk or .org.uk, isn't it?
Yeah, my lord.
But I suspect now he's been turfed out the house. That email doesn't work anymore.
No, I'd rather do. I think no one's going to have access to that for some time unless you're.
That's right.
Yeah, unless you're the police.
That's right. Yeah, what I want to tell anybody who emails that email tonight, bear in mind you're talking directly to Special Branch and the Thames Valley Police. Yeah. Do not contact. There'll be somebody who go, let's see what happens.
Oh,
you know, like that idiot kid who phoned up the bomb at school.
Oh, yes.
Didn't realise.
Yeah, talking about idiots, there was one story in the news that's not really getting very much attention, but it's these two that are being detained in Iran. I don't know if you've seen
I heard about them a few months
I'm not being funny. Why would you try and access Iran at the moment, of all things?
For the last year, it's been the Foreign Office said, do not go, and they went, we'll be all right, and of course they're not all right.
I'm sorry, it is a waste of Foreign Office resources, it's a waste of diplomatic time, and it's idiotic.
They were told.
Yeah.
And they thought they were doing some bicycle trip through Iran. And
they're not even kind of do aid work or anything.
They'd be called spies, of course, and in prison.
My favourite was, I'm really sorry, that Nazanin Zaharie Radcliffe, where Boris accidentally admitted she was a spy. That was superb.
No, she wasn't a spy. Did I say she was a spy?
I don't know, but somebody said, have you noticed the husband's not upset?
Yeah, I know.
He just did this tour of the TV series.
He came in a lot, actually, during that time.
It was the most blatant
Richard,
spy.
Isn't it?
Richard. It was one of those moments where he did literally said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So
he was a blithering fool.
Oh, he was.
Only let in $1 million a year. No one would done anything. He really cocked up.
Yeah, the thing is, yet again, I did rather say at the time that he would be a terrible prime minister, but I was shouted down then, and yeah.
But you couldn't have believed how this bad.
Do you know what? I was really negative about Boris, and then thought he'd be good, because at City Hall he didn't do anything either, other than name things after himself.
Yeah.
I remember at City Hall he was all good and that as a mayor, but then I remember the riots happened and he went to, I think, Tottenham with a broom and everyone booed him, and I thought, he just not good at the serious stuff.
No.
But he was good when, you know, what's his name? The guy who ran his campaign, you know...
Dominic Cummings.
He was great with him because he was his sort of, you know, nasty man. But then Dominic Cummings was got rid of as soon as they won the election.
Yeah, but let's be honest.
Carrie ran it.
Can we be honest? Can we be honest? Dominic Cummings, in addition to being a genius, is also mentally ill. Let's be honest.
Yeah, but the best leaders are, and probably their advisors.
Yeah,
I mean, look at
everything he was warning about has happened.
That is true.
This is the thing. It's like he might be insane, but sometimes most of the time he happens to be correct.
He's interesting.
So once again, back to, I know we're all over the place, but it's been a fun, interesting day. So Victoria Roberts-Giffrey's family once again have said the Brits have taken action when the Americans have not taken action. Yeah. Well done.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, there's nothing else really to say on that one. It is interesting though that yet again the Justice Department, they have arrangements with certain. If you can basically buy your way out of charges in America, you can't.
Really? How does that work?
You basically you just kind of you
donate to some party.
You literally just pay a giant fine so they don't pursue you anymore.
Really?
But if you think about it, if you're that wealthy,
very often. So every single crime in America can go to a full jury, and so what they do is they plea deal everything away.
Yeah.
Mind you, I thought the most bizarre one was Michael Jackson, where his defence was. I used to take a boy to bed every night, but nothing happened.
Yes. Yeah.
That's suspicious. That. Yeah. I mean, at the very least.
Well, I mean, Macaulay Culkin said nothing ever happened, and I met a couple of other people and said nothing happened. Well, these are celebrity kids. It might be different with celebrity kids.
Yeah, the one with that was always the fact that I think one of the kids was found out to have lied, so therefore the entire evidentiary chain was all corrupted.
But then again, the two-star witnesses later said they had been molested.
Yes.
But I think just at the very least. Yeah. There's a 40-year-old bloke down the road who likes taking 11-year-old boys to bed. At the very least, it sounds...
His own home theme park.
Yes, the theme park and a pet monkey. I mean...
The whole thing, the pet monkey.
Again, when we look at it the American way, we have to remember it's different legal systems. It's the same crime. It's not dealt with in the same way. So we shouldn't really compare the two, but we can't help but do it.
But no one gets arrested and no one's been...
No one gets fired in this country.
No, in America, you know, nothing... No one's been arrested.
I know, it is interesting, actually.
It's
how
the powerful,
all,
isn't it?
It is. Oh, yeah.
They all have got stuff on each other. They've all got.
Yeah, but this is the thing you have to remember about Epstein. He worked cross-party. Like he didn't care whether you were a Democrat or a Republican, a lefty or a righty. He worked with whoever because that was his. But
if you're Epstein, right? Wouldn't you? Because this is a theory, you know, that he's not actually dead. Wouldn't you say, look, if you kill me or anything happens, all this data gets released on the internet of everyone, and therefore this would explain why, you know, he might still be alive somewhere.
Well, he's not alive.
No, I have to admit, I think on that one, I don't think people realised how meticulous his records were and what he actually had on people.
Well, that's what they would be worried about. Because surely, as a clever bloke, he would have set it up so
but you don't want him alive, do you? You want him dead.
But then if he's got an automatic thing that will release everything on the internet...
Assuming you're in that list.
Yeah. I don't. Yeah, it's an interesting one, really. But I have. Was it the?
Once again, Pete, I've asked you this question every week. Have the CIA admitted that?
No, not yet. No.
I mean,
I say not yet.
I mean, there's just no way.
There's no way. Yeah, there's no way.
It's certainly not Mossad. They don't really get. They don't do open stuff.
No, and he's too competent to be British. So
I just love the way that that New York townhouse, one of the biggest houses in New York, was given to him by a wealthy family. Given to him.
Yeah.
We didn't buy it. It was a present.
It's insane. It's insane. The fact that this guy kind of just came out of nowhere. Yeah. That, I mean, I'm not being funny. That reeks of
CIA,
because some kind of security services.
And also
millions and millions of pounds.
And also his legend that he was a maths teacher. What didn't hold up really particularly to any real scrutiny, did it? He's got no qualification in maths.
No,
he's just some geezer.
Yeah, none of that makes any sense. And even if what they're saying is true, it's that the situation is now that out of control that no one's going to believe whatever you say.
I heard someone saying, a financial guy saying, I chatted to him about stuff, hedge fund thing, and he didn't know anything about anything.
Yeah,
he was like an actor when he was a
for that kind of level to the level that he was at, he would have to know that stuff like the back of his hand.
Yeah, exactly.
But I suppose. I mean, I've got a brother who's a solicitor and a brother who's a wealth manager. and both at decent firms. And the point that they always struggle with is that whilst your job is to give legal advice or your job is to give financial advice, your business is to generate professional fees.
Yeah.
And actually, in the case of a lot of these people, what they've actually done is just placed themselves very close to very wealthy people. And that's how they've done it. Because if you think about it, this is a bit that people forget. Say you get a hedge fund and it makes no money whatsoever. Well, the fact that people have invested in it will in of itself have generated professional fees.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what one would assume if the hedge fund's no good, that nobody's ever going to invest in it again. But this is what Epstein was up to. You know, it's just bringing in the bacon.
Yeah, and that's
which
the
is,
great.
I presume he didn't do.
Yeah, but no, I think this is the thing that people forget, that his actual kind of official job was a financier. So therefore, he would have been connected to so many different projects and to so many different types of people. That's why you had people from Stephen Hawking to
Putin. Everybody. All of them were.
Like,
he was like the middleman.
Because the reality is, very rich people all know each other. And it's just the nature of the world.
He was like a fixer. He'd introduce people, go, Peter, this is Putin.
But actually, I remember for a very brief period, I lived in Britain and worked in Brussels. And I used to fly that regularly. I used to be in the first class lounge, or probably not the first class lounge, but the executive lounge of whichever, Manchester Airport, Heathrow Airport, Gatwick. And it's fair to say people knew each other, and you would bump into people, you know.
Yeah,
you go,
all the time.
Oh, I saw you in Parliament last week, or whatever.
Yeah.
And so, and of course,
celebrities like Andy Peters.
What you think is, you think that that I was about to say no, I won't tell that story. Actually, that's me thinking. Don't say that story. But actually, you think, well, who bumps into somebody in an airport? Well, actually, if you're in a first-class lounge for 2 hours, actually, you're going to bump into lots of people you recognise.
I make the same comparison, but you notice when certain people aren't on the tube platform in the morning.
Is that right?
Yeah, I do it all the time. I see, that person who's always here gets the tube at the same time.
Do you ask them the next day, say, where were you yesterday?
I'm in London, you don't talk to anybody, that's the rule. But you notice when people aren't there.
I very briefly started swimming at my local Virgin Active, and I had nicknames for everybody else.
Yes.
Do you have nicknames for people?
Oh, I do it all the time. I make up entire backstories of people.
Yes.
Like, you know, if you sat on, you're just waiting for something, you kind of make up where they're going and you try and work it out. Yeah, or just to pass the time, mainly.
Yeah, me and my brother used to get a bus to school, and this bloke used to get on, not on it wasn't a school bus, but he used to get on with his briefcase, and we always thought his name was Bernard for some reason.
Yeah, you
right?
do.
And you know, it was, we had whole conversations about what Bernard got up to.
Yeah, we had a guy like that called Dennis, who used to go rice and peas at the number 11 stop. And on that bombshell, tell us about your nicknames for people on the bus. It's Talk with Andre and Ash. And Pete Barnes, we're talking about, of course, Andrew, and of course the Chagos Islands. Is it going to go? Is it going to be reversed? Because Trump wants to he'll be using it for the Iran. We've refused him to use our bases that America uses to do the launch to Iran.
Do you not get? We'll come back to it after the break.
We'll come back with more of that after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
I've got to say, this made me laugh about the Olympics. Is it Milan?
Yeah.
So basically, I found out about the figure skating. The Italians, in a cost-cutting measure and not knowing a great deal about figure skating because it's quite a hot country, didn't know you had to resurface the ice rink regularly throughout the day. And so in the final, a big slushy patch developed and everybody fell over. But I do want to say, congratulations, because all the front runners fell over and Kazakhstan won its first Olympic medal since 1994.
It is nice.
Well done, Kazakhstan.
Well done.
Outstanding.
They're absolutely elated.
Did you see a dog got on the skiing pitch in one of them? It looked like a
that's
wolf.
amazing.
Did you see that?
No, I
we all
didn't
like
know.
a dog on the pitch, though, don't we?
Did you see the woman who couldn't
I
half...
don't watch the Winter Olympics.
Okay, there was a woman a few years ago who wanted to go to the Olympics but wasn't good at sport, so she decided to join the half pipe. Right, she represented, I think it was Hungary at the half pipe. She couldn't do it.
All right.
But what actually happened was this. What the problem is, half pipe is so mad. It's the one where you just jump in the air as you go down, right? Because it's so mad. There's only about 30 people in the world that do it who are just mad enough to do it. Of which 25 of them qualify for the Olympics, and apparently about 8 of them had broken their leg in advance. So they're going 23rd in the world, right?
Hilarious.
She just couldn't do it.
That's so funny.
But she's being very cautious today. Not being cautious.
Do you remember the Australian breakdancer woman?
Oh, I do. I
That was
remember.
hilarious.
Yes,
When
yeah.
doing all that and rolling around, and everyone took the mick out of her. I felt really sorry for her.
Yeah,
But
and
the
then didn't the Prime Minister of Australia come out to defend her or something like that?
yeah.
I think the first
made
people
it
to do
worse.
it, the first people to say, look, what you have to be, in order to get to the Olympics, you have to find a country where you can compete on behalf of that have got nobody else in this sport.
Yes.
The Jamaican bobsleigh team was
That's
the
the first,
first
yeah,
one.
okay.
Eddie
Cool
the
runnings.
Eagle, no one did
Eddie
the
the
ski
Eagle?
jump in
Yeah.
Britain, so...
Eric the Eel, he couldn't swim.
Eric the Eel,
Eric
yeah.
the Eel couldn't swim, and he represented Nigeria at
I love
100,
that.
whatever it
He
was.
stopped halfway through, didn't he?
Eric the Eel. So now what they've done is, now what they say is you have to have got to a certain level in international competitions, which is fine. Except there are many international competitions where nobody competes.
Yeah.
Therefore, if you just turn up to everything,
win it.
So anyway, congratulations to Kazakhstan. They are absolutely elated. It is fair to say the top 8 people in the world all fell over. But then, I think the one good thing was Mikhail Shaidarov did avoid the skinny patch, but also was quite good. So I think Kazakhstan will be happy. Anyway, talking of something that's less impressive, Pete. The Chagos Island deal. Lord Kempsall, formerly our political editor, is leading the fight to stop the Chagos Islands being given away, because it is given away, it's not given back.
Good man, Lord Russ.
Yeah.
The Chagosians are not being given the option to take their own country back.
Yeah.
It's being given to another colonial power, i.e. China, through Mauritius.
Yeah.
Now I've got to declare my interest because, as you know, I am a sugar plantation owner.
Oh yeah, you're a slaver.
It's the most preposterous thing about you, and that's
He's got a
saying
slave
something.
plantation.
Yeah, out of all the things, that's the most preposterous.
Just to explain, my grandmother later in life married a real old school sort of retired colonel type person with a curly moustache, and among the various things he'd inherited from his dad was shares in a sugar plantation in Mauritius, which I think was a former slave colony.
Oh wow!
And my dad now, I don't actually own it. My dad's got the shares, but I think we're going to have to force him to give it to me. And I was thinking of getting a business card saying Andre Walker, sugar plantation owner.
Are you going to give them to charity?
No, not at all. But on a serious note, Mauritius is a vassal state to China in practice. But what is so extraordinary is this. The Chagosians were moved from the Chagos Islands against their will. We are not proposing to give it back to them.
No. And realistically, I'm going to be very brutally honest now, that is the least important bit of this story.
Okay.
Because the strategic importance of Diego Garcia and where the Chagos Islands is absolutely vital to national security and Western security.
Well, it's been
in general.
shown with the Iran. That's a perfect point for Iran.
It's also the fact that there is this thing called the Treaty of Pelendaba. And this basically means that Africa is a nuclear weapons-free area.
Yeah.
America has a position of, we don't tell you where they are or whether we've got them or anything like that. If a nation can say that Mauritius has allowed the Americans to have a nuclear weapon and to take them to international court, this could blow up all of it, literally, for want of a better phrase.
They paid apparently Mauritius in the 60s to take.
But what I'm saying is, the point is,
it's meant to be a nuclear-free zone.
Yeah,
and
but also it's the fact that they don't have to. No nation really these days has to invade you to disrupt you. They'll do it through lawfare. They can do it through the treaty. In the treaty itself, it is nothing but obscure definitions and committee after committee.
Well, that's what's happened in the first place with Chagos lawfare to get it off our hands.
It's literally all of it, and it's done deliberately so that you don't ever have to fire a single bullet. And most of this is also entirely academic, because Trump said very clearly that if they don't feel that the base is secure, they're just going to take control of it.
And they will.
And
it's not going to happen now, is it?
No, even if it does, it doesn't really make much difference, because the
America would invade
I think it makes a slight difference, and I'll tell you why. Because Diego Garcia is not the only Chagos Island.
No.
And so I think what would end up happening is, well, depends on what the Americans do, but one would assume that the Chinese will take one of the islands, and there will be two rival braves, like Djibouti.
Yeah.
Will America allow them to be next door to
them? Well, they have done in Djibouti.
Yeah, so basically you have this kind of like exclusion zone around it, but the problem is, in the treaty as it's kind of laid out now, because it's not yet been activated, obviously, but it as it lays out, it's all about the difference between a civilian and military is a very odd definition. So you could have areas of which are, research areas. However, you could just pack a civilian vessel full of all the military equipment. And is it a military one?
Well, they do that. The Israeli in Syria, they put police on them, but they're all army.
And also, at the same time, one of the players that's not really mentioned in this story is India. India have basically been building their own Diego Garcia base very effectively. And, they've been very public about it. The control for this patch of water is actually very vital, because it's the perfect launch pad into the Middle East, but it also gets you into Indo-Pacific region, where the South China Sea is, where they expect the next theatre of war to be. It is the strategic importance of it is incredible, but the one bit that people always forget is what is actually there. It's the connections to the international satellites. It is America's ability to see things through its satellite range.
They ain't letting that go.
They ain't letting that go without a fight, because that is absolutely vital. They've got its own internet line deliberately under the sea to keep it that secure. The idea that they're just going to let this happen
and the Chagosians have actually moved back in and said we're not going, and immediately the British government have acted, going, you've got to get out. They wouldn't do that with people here on a rubber boat.
And also,
and it's their land.
I mean,
the obvious thing to do. I mean, I remember I was elected a tribal leader of the Rizal people of the Caribbean.
You should wear the uniform one day.
But they are the people of San Andres Island. They're descended from African slaves and British pirates. So they speak
Do
English.
they know about your plantation?
So they basically want to be a Commonwealth country. The reason is because there is a massive advantage to being a Commonwealth country. Basically, the Royal Navy start using your so even though there's only about 15 Chagosians, if suddenly they were a British overseas territory, which is what they want to be, and a member of the Commonwealth, then actually they'd have the king as king, but they'd also have loads of British military kit put there, which would solve the whole problem. You could go, we can give it back to the people in a way that doesn't give it back.
Yeah, but again, it's just the reason all of this kind of was brought to the front was the fact that, yes, there was this non-binding ruling from the International Criminal Court, but it was the fact that the UN had actually kind of declared it as well. There was the fact that it was going to take it into realpolitik. So basically, it was going to start affecting trade agreements, and Britain actually would have started to feel the effects because of this ruling. So that's why the Conservatives entered into it, was to try and get rid of that bit. They were never going to give it away, because that's just idiotic. That is Jonathan Powell, that is Lord Hermer, because...
Sorry, who are those two?
Oh,
the people are definitely not Chinese spies.
Definitely not
Lord
Chinese.
Lord Hermer.
Yeah, I mean, because
definitely not Chinese spies.
In these
Jonathan
emails,
Powell has definitely never spied for China. Jonathan Powell.
He's even announced, I think, just the other day that he's stepping away from his role as National Security Advisor, like in the coming months, because and everyone's like, well, wait a minute, did you just get into this to do this one thing, and now you're going off again?
By the way, just to people, we tongue in cheek make this joke about Chinese spies, but when it comes to disastrous deals where China has eaten our lunch, the two names, Lord Hermer and Jonathan Powell, always come up.
Always come
up.
in
Whether it's spies in Parliament getting away with it, whether it's super embassies being allowed against MI6's views, whether it be the Chagos Island disaster, whatever it is.
And he's our Attorney General.
Oh, well, is he our Attorney General? That's half the question.
Same two names come up every time.
Because you have to remember, in the Mandelson emails that have been released, Starmer wobbled. He was very willing to actually not go through this. It was Jonathan Powell, Mandelson, and Lord Hermer that teased him back in. There was some more to the sirens teasing him back to the Chagos Islands. Like, they were the ones that convinced him back again. So it is those people in particular.
And it is.
What's his face? The guy who wrote the book, who actually represented Mauritius, who's one of Starmer's best friends.
I know the guy.
Yeah. So let's just be clear about Keir Starmer's political view, such that there is one.
Yeah.
He believes that if we come up with a good set of international rules, evil will be abolished in the world.
Yes, he's one of those people that think that there's no good or bad, you're just in a bad situation.
Yes.
Does he really believe that?
I don't think he really believes anything.
No. So as an example, if you were to put Benjamin Netanyahu on trial, Hamas would cease to exist because they would recognise the value of international law and stop being terrorists.
Yes,
that is what he thinks.
That's what he thinks.
Well, that's what he claims to think.
Yes,
exactly.
I mean, it is utterly ludicrous.
Yeah, it's ludicrous, and it's one of those things that people keep saying, the rules-based order of the world is being torn apart. It never existed.
No.
Everything that we're seeing now, this kind of hard power, has always dictated the world. It's just realistically now, Europe is very much on the back foot, and we've got a much more kind of aggressive American presence that's just not going to pay for Europe to continue to ask what a woman is anymore. This is the fundamental reality. We have to remember that alliances aren't friendships; they're partnerships.
Yes,
you bring something, they bring something, and Europe, and particularly the UK, has let the side down massively. We are a huge liability to NATO at the moment. Huge. It's absolutely unbelievable.
But the joke that was made, which will be the first genuine Islamic nuclear power, will it be Britain or France? Yes. I mean, that was the joke J.D. Vance made.
Yeah. Have you seen, actually, I read today the Department of Justice in America are making a website, an app to get around all of Europe's... which is an amazing story. They're actually working against the authoritarian anarcho-tyrannical governments.
Huge story.
So we can now, hopefully, when they bring in this act, we can just go onto this Department of Justice. They're basically the world government of the West, and Trump is now sort of our leader in a way.
But this is the bit that people don't understand about the Onion browser, about Tor, about the dark web. First of all, people forget when they go, the surface web is only 20%, 80% is other stuff. Well, okay, but you've got to remember the fact that people can't see the page on HSBC that's got your own bank account on it is important. So all of these, billions of websites are temporarily created all the time, which is things like thank you for buying from Amazon and stuff like that. The dark web, the bit that people forget, so dark web's really easy to understand. All that happens is I send a package of data to a nodule, and there are multiple nodules in between me and Facebook, right? If Facebook's banned in a particular country. But critically, each nodule doesn't know anything about the data other than the piece it unpackages, which says, as an example, send this data to that server, which they do, but they don't undecrypt it. It's only undecrypted.
Unknowing nodules. Anyway, we've got to take another...
But hang on. But what's important about that is it means that you can communicate globally without your government knowing anything about it. That's a critical point. And the fact is, all of the weirdos on the dark web, the reason why they are tolerated is because it creates lots and lots of waste of time data that is not American spies in the world communicating with each other.
Yeah, definitely. I want to just say one point really, really quickly, this is the start of a digital trade war. That's what this is. It's a sovereignty argument. It's by who controls what within your space.
The internet, in a way.
But we're all going to have to get good at VPNs. We're all going to have to go.
And they're banning those, but this American thing will
we'll have to be on the dark web. People have to download the Onion browser because on the Onion browser, if they ban any social media site in the UK, you could click and open the Onion browser, and then you would go straight to that website. It would be a bit slow.
Onions and nodules. Give us a ring, 03444991000. It's Talk with Andre and Ash and Pete Barnes, and we're going through all the stories, Andrew, Chagos Islands, and loads more. We'll be back after this.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and Pete Barnes. Pete, updates on Iran.
Oh, well.
So that's the worst question I've ever asked in journalism.
Where do you want to start?
Apparently it's scheduled for in a week or two.
Yes, Trump will apparently be ready to launch strikes by Saturday. This is a huge ramp up, and I think it is coming at a time where it
and we're on Iran's side, are we?
Well, probably at this point, but actually the one thing I will say is we did play our part. We banned the Iranian Royal Guard, so you can't, basically what they've done is they've trapped them in. So what seems to have what's happened is they've boxed everybody in with this massive threat of what's going to be the greatest airstrike in the Middle East since the first since 2003 invasion of Iraq. And this is when I say he sent the Great Armada, they've sent everything. I mean, they are not.
Well, the reason
around.
they've done that and why they've got all their ducks in a row is because Iran can retaliate. They've got a lot of cruise missiles. So it's going to be a big shock and awe. There's going to be everything knocked out, hopefully.
Interestingly, probably the first American president ever to bomb an Islamic country during Ramadan. Now, by the way, we bombed Belgrade on Easter Sunday.
Yes,
right. So
that's true.
We're not sensitive the other way, but presumably we will have the usual howls of indignation.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, they're already.
I mean, you can machine gun 50,000 teenagers.
Yeah.
But having to go at the Iranian Republican Guard.
Because always remember, Donald Trump is always the bad guy.
Yes.
He's always, despite the fact that I actually think this guy has done more for global security and the securing of the West than any other president we've had in my lifetime. Yet he's still Orange Man bad.
And
if
he's
still
not
doing that,
I mean, like Obama, Tony Blair, they're killers. Whereas I remember there was an airstrike on some Iranian general, and Trump, in his first term, said, "Will any innocent people be killed?"
like
and
a
they
dog.
said about 150, and he called off the strike in midair.
Yeah.
Now Obama and Blair would have gone and just go ahead.
Yeah.
He does it. You know, he's not really a.
I love when you see
despite everything, he's not a war president.
Yeah, no, he's not a killer.
You see the lefties out and about, Asher, going, "What about the invasion of Venezuela?" No, it specifically wasn't.
Yes, that's the point.
That's exactly what wasn't.
And this is why what I think is actually happening in Iran is he's boxing everybody in, where basically they don't have a choice but to hand over the Ayatollah. They don't have a choice but to just surrender, because he said openly a regime change would be the best course of action. And I don't particularly want to have to do that.
Just to be clear, what would you do with the Ayatollah if you had him?
You'd put him on trial. You'd put him on trial, which is what they're doing with
put
the
him
Venezuela.
In the international. Would Trump put him in the international?
Well, no, they'll try him in America like they're doing with the Venezuelan guy. That's what.
But won't it be like, in Syria, where they've let this guy who's like ISIS basically, who's in charge of that? Won't someone else just come along who's on America?
This is the point, to have the kind of the next stage. So if somebody comes in to take over, you've also got the Board of Peace, which has a huge expansion of powers and roles in that area. So basically, like they'll look after Gaza, they'll also have a big role in running.
Is that Tony Blair again?
Yeah.
So
King
what about
Tony?
So what about the Reza Pahlavi on a private jet landing in Tehran, shot in the car park, or will he do anything?
I don't know on that one.
It's hard to say.
It's hard to say. It's really hard to say.
Reza Pahlavi, the big advantage of the Crown Prince is at least he's a known figure.
Yes.
Every political
but not known for good things.
No, but every political figure for 40... I mean, he sat in Bethesda for 40 years doing nothing.
Yeah.
But until Martuzzi
Well,
gave
there's
him...
not much to do in Bethesda.
Until Martuzzi gave him a profile.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's another story.
Yeah.
But he is somebody who is known, and I think the criticism of him, of course, is that he failed to come up with a constitution in his 40 years in Washington.
Oh, it's quite a long time not to do something, 40 years. It's quite a big thing to forget to do as well.
Yeah.
And I think that cloud and that kind of questioning is saying, oh, well, wait a minute, who
But
are we handing power over to?
the big advantage of him is he walks in with the solid support of Israel.
Yes, that is.
Look, is that the biggest thing in the world? No, it's not. But it's a major military power in the region.
Yeah.
And because he is a moderate, the Israelis would help him.
It's also one of those things that you have to remember that at the moment, Netanyahu and Trump aren't besties at the minute.
No.
There is a lot of tension. There's a lot. They don't particularly like the peace board. They don't like how they're being told what to do.
Yeah.
I think Benjamin Netanyahu had this idea that they would kind of be in charge a lot more than they are, and yet Trump is treating everybody as equal.
I think there is always a problem with Israel, which is that because they're so under threat, their own personal failings they expect to be ignored.
Yes, I also think it's the fact that they're so kind of bunker mentality, for want of a much better phrase, in terms of they're so used to being under attack that Trump's way of doing things is literally to kind of reinvent Gaza, like this whole kind of like what do you call it? Like the super
Gaza on
Gaza
Sea
on the
or
sea,
whatever,
that kind of thing. Because if you notice, wherever he's
The
been,
Gaza Plaza.
Yeah, this because it's called TRIP. It's this idea that you use major businesses to prevent wars. So it's why when there was the big Alaska summit between Russia and America, there was a huge business contingent from both the Russian side and the US. That was the main meeting. It wasn't Trump and Putin. It was that was actually being settled. So it was about bringing Russia back into the global economy.
There is no doubt that in pure geographical terms, Gaza is a winner.
Yes.
However, the problem is, and Asher and I have talked about this so many times that I'm sure people are just bored of listening to it. The reality is the problem is not Israel. The problem is not Palestinians. The problem is the leadership in Gaza. The government of Gaza is so substandard that, let's be clear, they invaded a peace festival and shot everyone because there was a danger the peace might actually work.
Yeah, it's also it's much of a bad example, but I do think Northern Ireland has the same trouble. That they're led by wartime leaders. They're not led by peacetime leaders. So because of that, the tensions and everything is always heightened because they're just waiting for the other side to be the dishonest ones.
The big advantage with Northern Ireland was there was an outcome.
Yes.
So if you think about it, and a lot of people from well, I mean, I don't know if people in Northern Ireland would agree with this, but it seems to me that Gusty Spence was right, the founder of the modern UVF. That the purpose of the UVF was to ensure that the union continued. And actually, no matter how awful some of the things that the Protestant majority had to swallow, it did make republicanism much less popular.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, it made nationalism the winner, if you like. So the winner wasn't unionists, but it wasn't Republicans either. It was nationalists. And the difference for those listening and watching who don't know the difference, nationalists are much more interested with human rights of Catholics, whereas Republicans want a united Ireland just generically. The problem you've got with Hamas is the stated outcome is shoot every Jew.
Yes.
Now, so the negotiation...
It's driven by fanaticism. I think that's the difference. One is much more of a kind of historical claim, and there's something to it. And yet, I think with the Gaza situation, because it is such religious fanaticism, you're trying to convince people of something they're just never going to believe.
The other thing, Pete, that I never understand about all these people, and this might be my Irish background, but why do people want territory full of people that hate them? Right. I mean, when you know the Gazans go, we want to take Israel over. Yeah, but there's like 10 million people who hate you. Now, okay, you want to shoot them all, but that in of itself is a logistical challenge.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's like you know, do you want Ireland to remain part of the United Kingdom? Yes, but we can't keep running around Dublin with a machine gun for the next 300 years.
Yeah.
Right, it's just nonsense.
I think it's because when the conflicts actually first start, it's a great way of unifying people. As I always say, hate brings people together much more than friendship does. So the problem is that when the narratives and that gets out of control, and then it becomes kind of law, as it were, you know, and then the people just are so wrapped up in it that kind of what probably started off as a very small thing actually escalates into a much bigger thing.
The reality is, if you were to talk purely about what Hamas wants, if you look at Gaza, focusing on a free trade zone, focusing on a port, focusing on trading with the Islamic world and using the Suez Canal is going to make you a lot richer than having to shoot 10 million Jews in Israel. And then what you've got is a big empty country and not a big enough population.
I think it's going back to Warsaw because Hamas are back in control. They're going after their enemies now. Israel and America are arming
Look
the
what
clans.
Afghanistan, the Taliban are doing the exact same thing. Unfortunately, we were very stupid. We gave them a list. You know, with the data leak, we gave them a list of people who actually helped them, and they're luring them down alleyways and shooting them in the head, which they did to a 62-year-old guy who gave the help to the British Army one time. By basically they went that way, and they lured him down an alleyway, and they shot him in the head.
The IRA used to do that. Do you remember that woman? She helped a shot soldier, and they just took her out with a kids in their flat still.
Yeah, and there is absolutely nothing we can do to help the people who actually help.
Although how do I say this without sounding really bad?
That's never stopped you.
No, wasn't it awful when the IRA's chief lawyer Pat Finucane was killed? That was awful. Absolutely awful that somebody who disguised his republicanism by having a practice license as a solicitor, and then somebody shot him.
Always the lawyers.
I can't condemn that enough.
Have you not noticed in history it's always the lawyers?
Yeah, look at the end of the day, Pat Finucane is like Richard Hermer in that he hates this country and wants to destroy it through the use of lawfare. Now, I'm furious that somebody shot it. Furious. Can't tell you how furious.
Yeah.
Look at my face, Pete.
Oh, God,
furious.
I've never seen you so angry.
So angry, yeah.
Yeah, for those listening on the radio, he's absolutely furious.
Dreadful to take out a corrupt, a lawyer.
Anyway, we've got to take a little break here. It's Pete Barnes with Andre and Ash on Talk 03444 9911000. We'll have the papers in the next hour and all your calls to give us a ring or leave us a WhatsApp message on it. We'll be back in a sec.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and this is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould, and our guest co-host is Pete Barnes. OK, we've got Anna McGovern, by the way, coming up, along with Beanhead. Why have we got Beanhead?
Finn Adams, a.k.a. Barmy Brunch, from the Monster Own Looney Party candidate, also known as Beanhead. He joins us for a look at the more
we're not
bizarre...
supposed to say that Barmy Brunch is called Finn Adams. Finn Adams.
Oh, yeah, because
He's been on the
he's
show
a
before,
teacher,
though,
and the kids will find out and mock
If the
him.
kids are watching this now, I'll be quite impressed.
Yeah.
OK, why has Poland told all of its citizens to leave Iran? How many are there?
I could say that's a good question, because I think we have the highest number of Iranians outside of Iran, if I remember rightly. It's quite a significant number we have here. So when it does eventually all kick off, I mean, it's got to kick off here as well.
Yes,
I mean, we have imported all of the world's problems pretty effectively.
What we will have is we will have people, recent migrants from the Islamic world who know really very little about Iran, fighting with actual Iranians in London, saying, we want you subjugated by an Islamic regime.
And the Guardian will be on their side.
Yes.
We've already seen that.
I mean, well, the one thing you do have to remember is that Iran have basically been sponsoring the hate marches that we have here. The Iranian ability to destabilise the UK is actually quite phenomenal, and it's been terribly easy for them as well.
And in the BBC, they're within the BBC.
I mean,
do you remember they played the leaders for 45 minutes on BBC?
That was ridiculous. It was basically just gave him open airwaves. It was just the most extraordinary thing.
It was crazy.
But again, it's the BBC. It doesn't surprise me. It just that's the thing now. I'm rather tired of the BBC's in crisis. When isn't it in crisis? And for them, they just don't see it as a crisis. Just look what the reaction to the
arguably, when you look at the behaviour of the BBC, arguably Jimmy Savile was one of their better incidents, because at least they weren't causing global genocide. Jimmy Savile. At least he was just a pervert.
Yeah, I have Martin Bashir. They didn't even seem to care.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, Martin Bashir is the reason Princess Diana is dead.
Without a doubt.
There is no doubt.
And they are still paying lawyers, and they're in court cases, to block the files.
I mean, what was amazing about that was when the head of PR at the BBC emails Martin Bashir saying, our line is that we can't contact you. What can we say to stand that up? And Martin Bashir gives him advice.
You're not actually saying he killed her.
Yes, I am.
What you're saying, through his actions.
Oh,
sorry. He didn't actually.
Sorry, just to be clear. Apologies for that. Just to be clear, here is the transaction. He falsified paperwork saying that Princess Diana's staff were leaking to the security services or national newspapers or both.
Yeah.
She fired her police protection because she believed that they were leaking on her. That was why she was in a car with an untrained guy, and it wasn't an armour-plated vehicle.
And what was really sad is that her head of security, she fell out. She was actually very good friends with him, and he died a couple of years ago. And she went to her death believing that her best friend had betrayed her because of Martin Bashir. because of the BBC.
She had a professional police driver who she had got rid of on the grounds that she thought the police were leaking.
Yeah, they literally gaslit
And Martin
that woman.
Bashir, Martin Bashir was the one who falsified the documents to make her believe it.
And that is why I don't take anybody seriously who wants to come at me with the BBC with a moral argument about how important it is for the journalistic integrity. Until you actually take accountability for that incident properly, I'm sorry, they don't have a leg to stand on.
We had a guy on the show who was the only guy who survived that car crash, and he was a former
His
royal
name was
bodyguard.
Trevor
Reese Locke.
Yeah, that's it.
He came and he survived because he had his seatbelt on, but he was trained, but he wasn't allowed to be armed, and he didn't have all the information. And he said he wasn't happy about what was going on, but they wouldn't obviously listen to him.
And I do have to admit, I do think this is where a lot of Prince Harry's concerns often come from. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a thin connection, but I imagine when you're that traumatised and your mother dies in that way, I could understand why his concerns about security.
I mean, the irony is when they said, she was people saying she was killed by the Duke of Edinburgh and all this. No. It is very clear that she was killed by a group of paparazzi who were deeply unprofessional, and the fact she didn't have a proper driver who could cope with it, and she didn't have a proper driver.
I'm not sure it was as I think it's possibly. I don't think about this Prince Philip thing, but I think someone might have been involved in it. I mean, there was a lot of. I think they masqueraded as a paparazzi in a sort of anti-personnel flash.
Whether the royal family were directly involved or whether it was these kind of the people around the royal family who want to protect them.
Like when Professor David Kelly committed suicide.
Oh, well, that was nonsense.
Yeah, no one suicides.
Dead bodies don't move.
They also don't shoot themselves in the back of the head.
I've got to be totally honest with you. I know of nobody who believes that Dr. David Kelly committed suicide.
Not a single one. No.
Do you remember Norman, the MP? He was all campaigning about him, Norman...
Tebbit?
Norman Fowler.
Oh, right.
He wrote books about it and saying how he's... And then he got a ministerial position and never talked about that again.
What was interesting about David Kelly, I knew a farmer who... Well, this is going to give it away, isn't it? The farmer that owned his land had said to his friends... we do get regular suicides on our land. But he said, it's amazing how somebody who has experience in a particular field can spot something untoward. He went, nobody leaves their dog.
Yes.
So basically, if you love your dog, you don't go and commit suicide and leave it, because it might be there. It might die of starvation.
Plus, he was the world's foremost chemical expert. Why would you cut your wrist with a Swiss Army knife? And also, at the time, about a week after, this guy came on who was a trauma surgeon. He was 70. He was retired from the Royal Free, and him and two other surgeons said, you cannot kill yourself from cutting that vein. It retracts automatically. So, and these were proper trauma A&E surgeons.
So this bloke...
And the ambulance driver said the bodies don't move.
This bloke, the farmer, apparently, he said that he found the body, he immediately phoned the police, and within 4 minutes there was a helicopter above. The helicopter landed, and the Thames Valley Police went, we've never seen them lot before. And he said, there's 40 police constables there. They must have at least recognised one of them.
Yes, that's the thing, isn't it? Yeah.
Funnily enough, I spoke to George Galloway about this, and I asked George, I said, but what do we think happened to David Kelly? And he said, I think he was kidnapped. He was interrogated a bit. They scared him, went too far, accidentally killed him, and had to dump the body.
That is very believable, and I imagine that happens a lot. If I'm being honest,
because it was just the whole thing was just ludicrous.
Yes. There was too many.
He was talking a lot, and they needed to get him to be quiet.
Definitely.
The family have never come out and said anything.
Yeah, I have to admit that it's often the family reaction to things that often I think give it away. Like when something's been involved. I think that's always a big one. But I mean, we can't talk about whether Epstein's still alive and Dr. David Kelly and all the rest of it. The fact is that these incidents happen, and because nobody trusts anything, this is how the conspiracy.
Well, by the way, on trust, we've got a couple of minutes left. Measles has broken out again. I just want to be very, very clear on my opinion on it. I blame Chris Whitty. He said that the COVID vaccine was 100% safe, 100% of the time. That was untrue, and I think he has destroyed, for a significant amount of time, vaccine rollouts. Because when you said, I had a friend of mine who went to the doctors the other day, and the doctor said, can we give you the flu vaccine? And he said, I don't believe it's safe. They went, but it's definitely safe. The government's announced, well, I can't believe the government.
And it's true, it follows the MMR thing, didn't it, about 20 to 30 years ago.
The reality is, if there was now a vaccine that came out that said this is 100% safe 100% of the time and it kills cancer, the take-up rate would be poor.
Yes.
And thanks to Chris Whitty.
Yeah, is the reason it's always 9 out of 10 dentists agree with this thing. It's never 10 out of 10.
That means 1 out of 10 dentists don't agree with it.
It's because there's no such thing as settled science. There's no such thing.
Right.
There's no such thing. It's the same with the net zero stuff. But you can't say the debate that science is settled. No, it isn't.
I mean, the other thing was about the kind of anti-vaxxers where you had to have some sympathy with them. They said, well, so we've been told that all of the tests have been done on the vaccine, right? And yet the drug companies have been indemnified anyway.
Yeah.
Well, why would you indemnify them?
Do you remember there was one guy died, didn't there, in the test?
If I remember that, actually.
The only reason
I think you do have to remember, when it came to the COVID vaccine, the amount of money that was poured into this globally is astronomical. So that usually helps things move
and the
along
amount of money
critically,
being made.
Yes,
and
that's
the
also,
lobbying by the
But
companies.
what was interesting was it AstraZeneca who said they would never do a vaccine again.
I think so,
it
yeah.
was, yeah.
Because they said we've just, it's ruined our reputation.
Yeah.
People don't trust us anymore.
Yeah, because I find it interesting, really, because I remember when Big Pharma at one point was like the evil incarnate, and then all over COVID they were the greatest things in sliced bread. The way that everybody
hard
flipped
on
it.
it,
But the Whitty proposition was ludicrous. We've done
Which one?
We've done the full tests. These vaccines are definitely safe. We've also indemnified the drug companies in a way we've never indemnified them before.
Yeah. Oh, no.
Well, that's got to be because there's some concern that the vaccine might not be safe.
Yes. Also, is the phrase that everybody was considered an anti-vaxxer for asking what is a very reasonable question about your own health.
Does it work?
I mean, does it work? And is there any side effects? It's not an unreasonable question to ask. It was the way everybody was demonised. I think was absolutely abhorrent.
The spy unit, didn't they? Even Julia Hartley-Brewer.
I still think that's one of the greatest things that ever happened was getting that the Cabinet Office to apologise to her, and it was Sue Gray, by the way, who was one of the people who were in charge of all of that.
Sue Gray, my favourite. That's my favourite story, Sue Gray, because do you know prior to being a senior civil servant what she did for a living? This is right. Now, I want you all to think about this very clearly. She used to own a pub in Northern Ireland.
Oh,
right.
Barbara Windsor. It's like the Barbara Windsor in Northern Ireland.
She goes from
intelligence gathering.
So she starts her career as a publican in Northern Ireland and ends it as the chief spy in the Cabinet Office.
Don't forget, she's what is she? Consult to the Regions or something, whatever she is now. It's a ridiculous title that nobody in Westminster has ever heard of.
I'll tell you what, we've seen many people rise to the top of the civil service having been publicans in Northern Ireland, but none of them have done it by anything other than via MI5.
Have you seen we've got a new cabinet permanent secretary?
Yes.
What's it? Romeo.
Antonio.
Antonio. Yeah.
Antonio Romeo.
School must have been fun with a name like that, but she is the epitome of the kind of civil service, kind of like Sir Humphrey, Oxford, PPE. Never had a real job. She's completely out of touch. And I was like, both political parties have said she's brilliant, therefore she's terrible.
Yeah,
that's always my real. When people start agreeing, that thing is terrible.
I love the way when Keir Starmer said about the last bloke, he's somebody to shake up the civil service. I mean, not only has he never had a job outside the civil service, but neither has anyone in his family.
Yeah,
about the past 150 years.
Yeah, because he must be the briefest tenure. That guy, was it Wormbolt or whatever his name is? But I keep calling him Wormtongue from Lord of the Rings. But no, with him, it was the fact that yet again he was told, don't appoint this guy. He's useless and ineffective. So therefore, he's best friends with Keir Starmer. Peas in a pod. But
what about Gordon Brown involved in it? He appointed Mandelson.
I think it's time to bring Mandelson back.
Yeah.
Come on, Cabinet Secretary.
Well, it's interesting, Gordon Brown, because he seems to have sat on a lot of evidence, if we think about it. He's got this memorandum to the police.
He's in the emails.
I think Gordon Brown's dodgy as hell. Gordon Brown, in reality, Mr. Piety, a man who was friends with a paedophile, was appointed effectively as Deputy Prime Minister by Gordon Brown.
Yeah.
Now, you don't need the rest of the story, do you?
I mean, the fact that he took him in, after everything that he'd been up to under Blair, why would you do it? I don't understand. The man down the
because you're as bad
the
as
road.
him.
Yeah, it must be.
That's the reality.
It must be.
That's the reality. What Gordon Brown did was send Nick Brown and Tom Watson in to do his dirty work.
Yeah.
I mean, what was that? Calling Lord McAlpine a sex offender,
That was horrific.
and it was simply had no basis in fact.
None whatsoever.
I mean, okay. he had a cousin called Sir James McAlpine,
but
right,
that's-
who lived in... He didn't even live in Wales.
It's stupid.
Anyway, look, Pete, that's it. Thanks for coming
Thanks
in,
for
man.
having
That
me.
was when you're on next, man.
I'm in with Alex tomorrow at 7 o'clock.
Excellent. Well, we'll be going through the papers next. 0344 after 11 499 1000. Better finish that. We've got Anna McGowan coming in. She'll be joining us for the press preview. And at half 11, former Monster Raving Looney Munch, Beanhead's coming in to review the papers.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Anna McGovern. Well, I think it's fair to say we're going to have a story that's going to be dominating the papers, which is the arrest of Andrew Mountbatten Windsor for misconduct in public office. Obviously, don't want to predetermine the case, but obviously there have been purported what the US government released purported to show him releasing documents to Jonathan Rowland and Jeffrey Epstein. If that were to be true, then that potentially leads us down the road of misconduct in public office. But the great difficulty is it is purely subjective. It's whether
the paper boys are right.
it's whether a jury believes that that his actions undermined public confidence in a trade envoy, which would be a matter for them on the day, wouldn't it? So actually, you know, when people are saying don't predetermine the trial, in reality, the technical details are not that important. It's what is important is whether he undermined public confidence, and that will be a decision purely for the jury. Anyway, there we go, front page of the Mirror. So what do you think?
Royal arrest bombshell, Andrew police probe hiding in his car, ex-prince driven from cop station, and one of his eyes is bright red like the Terminator. Interesting.
Well, both
Let's
his
have a
eyes
look.
are-
Shamed Andrew Mountbatten Windsor has nowhere to hide as he slouches in a car after being quizzed by police on his 66th birthday. King Charles said the law must take its course after his brother was arrested at Sandringham on suspicion of misconduct in public office yesterday morning. The disgraced former prince was released under investigation last night. It's believed to follow a probe by the release of the files relating to paedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein, former Royal Protection Chief Di Davis, who comes on this show on Julia's quite a lot. This is huge. The waves would affect the whole monarchy. Anna, what do you bring up with the whole situation?
Well, I think, well, first, this is unprecedented what we're seeing at the moment. So I think this is the first time that we've seen.
He looks in shock, doesn't he? And he would be, I suppose. You know.
Well, oh my
Yeah,
God, what a picture! For that's tragic picture.
Yeah, it really
It's the
is.
first royal arrest since 1685.
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
And look, every single front page is dominating this news
Same
story.
picture. I mean, the paparazzi that got that, the news photographer that got that.
How much do you reckon that was made?
That's what we were discussing
That
in the
could be
green
£1 million, couldn't it? Or £500,000 quid or something? I mean, I don't know. If it's syndicated around the world as well.
I mean, also, let's just look at this. So obviously, we're only going through the front pages. But look at what the Mirror said here. Full story on pages 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. I mean, basically, the whole newspaper.
It's a full story, though, isn't it?
The whole newspaper is just dedicated. I mean, how many pages it got? About 35 or something. Whatever it is.
It's all dedicated. Even in the news today, it's just been dominating this today. What I thought was really interesting is Thames Valley Police, and they announced this. They didn't actually formally identify him. They said a man in his 60s has been arrested.
They always
but then
do
the media, we've named
They said,
him.
no, they said a man in his 60s has been arrested for misconduct in public office. Properties in Berkshire and Norfolk are being searched. We're not going to name the person. Oh, come on.
We know who it is, and the media, we've named him, and this is a big story. It's dominating everywhere.
I mean, actually, if there is any police service in
unbelievably
Britain that will be able to screw this up, it'll be the Thames Valley Police.
Yeah.
Trust me, they are absolutely hopeless. Absolutely hopeless.
And on his
I can't stand
birthday.
them. And if you're from the
I
Thames
know,
Valley
on his
Police,
birthday. They've ruined his
It's
birthday.
not a nice birthday surprise.
No, it's not. No.
You know, I've heard a couple of people, I was listening to this in the news, a couple of people were sort of questioning, is this a kind of PR move by the Thames Valley Police? The fact it was his birthday, 66th birthday, that they made this arrest.
well, the Thames Valley Police are incredibly political, aren't they? And they are well up for politicisation of the law. That's one of the things they did. Not as bad as the Met. I mean, the Met, literally anything. I mean, the Met is just a nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
So...
I was going to give some examples, but I just thought let's best not.
And the Telegraph is leading with that, and a big headline, Andrew arrested. And also the other story, Starmer blocks Trump from using RAF bases for strikes on Iran.
Oh, so we're on the Ayatollah's side now, aren't we?
Yeah.
Fantastic.
He's blocked Donald Trump from using RAF air bases to strike Iran. The US president is thought to have withdrawn his support for Turkey's Chagos deal over Britain's refusal to give consent. So that's why he's bringing with consent. And he doesn't need consent to take off from Chagos, Trump. There's already a deal done. They don't need to ask anything, even though it's British territory currently. So the US is putting together contingency plans for a direct attack on Iran with long-range bombing and refuelling aircraft sent to the Middle East in recent days. So it's not good for our relationship with Trump, is it?
So what page are we on?
Oh, that's in the Telegraph.
We're in the Telegraph.
Basically, we've
now.
denied
Got
Trump
everything.
use of our with the American air bases, the RAF air bases where the American Air Force is. We've denied them use of it for the Iran, next week or whenever it's happening.
What about this on the front page of the Telegraph? That Russian commanders are accepting bribes of up to £30,000 to not serve in Ukraine.
Apparently, it's a good money spinner. Because they don't want to go down the front line and get blown up by a drone. So 10 to 30 grand, you can go back to the barracks and just, play on your
Get the boys back in the barracks.
Court says huntsman's horn must be destroyed. A court has ordered a horny huntsman. They want his horn to be seized and destroyed after he was convicted of killing a hare. Philip Saunders has been punished for using his hunting horn to command a pack of hounds while hunting a hare on the Boughton estate near Kettering. Saunders. Have you ever had hare pie?
No.
Delicious.
Oh, I'll tell you what, I had a I was in a posh restaurant in Ascot, and I had what was it, partridge or pheasant And the bullet, I had a bullet.
You can get lead, the shot. You can get lead poisoning from eating game meat because of the lead shot in it.
Yeah.
Be careful.
You want steel shots.
Yeah, steel, man. Or that pigeon stuff. Good health to end at 61 for babies born now. Yet babies born in Britain today can only expect to be healthy until the age 61, data shows. The healthy life expectancy for boys and girls born between 22 and 2024 as for. So our lives are getting short.
Allow me to help you.
Thank you. I don't have this one.
It's killing us. It's killing us.
What made me laugh is we brought in Anna McGovern to do the press preview, and then we didn't give her the telegram. No, but my favourite one was, do you remember when we brought in Pete Barnes to do the press preview on the day there was no press? It was Christmas Day, right? And it was Christmas Eve into Christmas Day, and they went, now the papers with Pete Barnes went, don't tell him. Right, the papers are not coming. And they had to try and just make something up for a whole hour.
Look at the sun. Tomorrow's soar away sun, and they've really blown his head up there. Not Prince Andrew, just Andrew Mountbatten Windsor with his Terminator eye. First royal to be held since Charles I, 1647. 11 hours in police custody on birthday. King says the law must run its course. He would have been taken away, had his stuff taken off and locked in a cell.
Yeah, exactly.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
And
by the way, I think the Sun is wrong. I do believe that it is the Duke of Monmouth in 1685 arrested for attempting to subvert the leadership of James II. I think he was the most recent one to have been arrested.
Yeah, and so the King said the law must run its course. So I think I think the statement he made is what I think Andrew is just completely isolated from everyone at the moment. It's like world humiliation, and the royal family not.
I mean, he's taken a kicking.
Yeah,
exactly.
but hold on,
Like,
there is one silver lining. Look, he can sweat again. Look, he's sweating. Hooray! Andrew, so he's got his sweat back, but
shocking.
I love that joke everyone's made, haven't they? I bet he's sweating now.
Yeah. Stunned and wild-eyed, Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was last night driven away from a police station after 11 hours in custody. The shamed ex-prince was sensationally arrested on his 66th birthday. Cops swooped at 8 a.m. 4 hours after the raid, which involved 6 unmarked cars and up to 15 officers. His brother King Charles issued a statement saying, "The law must take its course."
The law must take its course, you see.
Just like that. So, yeah, there we go. That's in your soar away sun. Full story, pages 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to 12.
Dominating the Sun.
But OK, I mean, the other thing to note is not a bad car, actually. I mean, I think...
What was it, a Range Rover?
Well, look at the seat. Look at that seat. That is a white leather seat.
Yeah, it's a nice piece, yeah.
There's not many people arrested, taken away in a car with white leather seats.
No, that was him leaving after.
Was it?
That was after he left, to be fair.
OK, fair enough.
Yeah. They snapped him as he was leaving the
enough, I was going to say.
And that was the picture that they got.
Cars. Yeah.
But somebody suggested he was being interviewed at his home, which was nonsense. He was taken to a police station.
He was, yeah, 11 hours in police custody on his birthday.
Which is probably pretty standard, actually, because what you're going to do is... because what they do is they have to book you in. That takes ages, and then they have to go through it. So, I mean, anyway, I think an arrest is going to take... Well, it would be the thick end of 18 hours normally, I would have thought.
Really can imagine.
The eye paper, King, my brother must face the law. And Jenny Bond says, Charles and William will be secretly relieved. Adam Bolton says, Andrew can still bring the royals crashing down with him. And Ian Dunt says, there is no better patriotic sight than seeing Andrew arrested.
Let me just be clear. Ian Dunt, my opinion on
rhyming
him...
slang.
No, yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Ian Dunt is a total... so just to be clear...
Runt.
Runts, that's right.
Yeah. And real value, the supermarket salmon actually worth buying. That's on page 35, so you have to get your... Do you eat smoked salmon?
Do I have salmon? Yes, I do. I love salmon.
Do you reckon smoked salmon might be one of the most dangerous foods you can eat?
Why?
Because of microplastic.
We'll have to get our mate on.
I thought it was really healthy for you, so I
guess if it's not microplastic. Do you know?
What's the difference? How would you get salmon that doesn't have microplastics?
You farm your own salmon, won't you?
Do you know there's no such thing as wild Scottish smoked salmon unless you buy it from England?
Oh.
Right, so there's English wild smoked salmon. There's English, Scottish wild smoked salmon. The reason is because they have banned salmon fishing in Scotland, but there is one river which I think goes through, which goes through North Northumberland on its way to the sea, and where the Scottish salmon sail past on their way so the English can get them. But I'll tell you one thing that I've discovered. Have you ever eaten wild smoked salmon? It's not as nice because the farm smoked salmon are fat, like they don't move. So it's not as greasy. The fresh. I
remember Roger Daltrey. He used to have a salmon farm.
I like farm smoked salmon better than wild.
Really?
Wild's dry. You can always tell. Wild will have a thicker white line.
It's educational, this
thinner
show,
white
isn't
line.
it? Educational.
Thinner white line.
It is very educated. I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. I don't eat salmon, but will you look for the white line?
I didn't expect this to be on the front page.
No, it's fun. It's great,
But before we go to the break,
it wasn't.
Anna,
why are we talking about it?
I think it's just really important that you update us on Women's Safety Initiative. I know this is the press preview, but obviously, just to be clear to everyone, Anna McGovern is a journalist of some repute, but at the same time, her and her friends have set up a group to ensure that women who are being pursued by principally migrant men are supported. We always like an update. Can you tell us how we're getting on?
So there was a recent protest in London, the Amelia demonstration. So if those of you aren't aware Amelia is, it's become a figure. It's particularly on X as well. It's dominated. It's a woman in a purple wig, and so there was a protest in London, demonstration where all the Women's Safety Initiative members dressed in a purple wig representing Amelia protesting.
And what happened to Amelia? Were we able to say, given this runs on Breakfast TV?
Well, I think she accidentally became a hero, which the government did not intend. But I believe, so my understanding is, I believe it was a Prevent programme where Amelia was represented as being, she was
You should dye your hair purple.
Yeah, I should have bob.
You'd be
so in the Prevent programme, they go, here's an example of an extremist.
And it was Amelia.
And she was called Amelia, and it was a fictional character.
And she was meant to be, she was obviously meant to be the villain, but
everyone's
she
meant to hate her, but now everyone loves her, don't they?
They love her now.
And people are making their own memes.
Like
and all
Gordon
that.
Gekko in the film Wall Street. But it is a sad thing. And one of the things that I think is the worst thing about it, so you started, sorry to give a précis of your background, but you started
judging you
by insisting that women had the right to political meetings where trans people were not allowed in. You got a lot of abuse for that. You were called far right. All the Be Kind Brigade made up all these fake images and all this and this. But you have taken a lot of abuse. The far right mantra presumably doesn't bother you anymore because you've heard it that many times.
Well, I think with the left, they will just attribute anything that they disagree with as far right, and that language doesn't work anymore. You can't just call anything far right you disagree with.
I must admit, Anna, I watched a programme on Channel 4 the other day where they said, we've infiltrated some far right racists. And I thought, they're probably quite a nice bunch of lads. It shows you how, if you cry wolf, because these guys were far-right racists. But I simply assumed, if you told me, that bloke in the pub's a far-right racist, I'd have a beer with him anyway, because I'd just assume it was a lie.
And that's actually, what they've done.
That's what they've done?
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, because then the far right, it holds no meaning anymore. Because if you just attribute it to anything you disagree with, if you're left wing, then far right doesn't actually mean anything.
It doesn't. And I have to say, I started to believe that far right was a conspiracy theory, and that racism was a conspiracy theory and didn't exist. I mean, I get the whole, bring somebody over from backward area will be a bit of a problem. But by the way, talking of bringing people over from backward area, have you seen the interview with Colin Brazier, formerly of Sky News, who's from Bradford, who said that he went to Kashmir and they went, well, we can't believe you took all them lot. They were a nightmare when they lived here. Can you believe that? He said he'd been to Kashmir in Pakistan.
Well, that is what they said in the Emirates, isn't it? It's now the centre for jihadism in England.
I've got a friend of mine who is an Emirati citizen. Now, I don't know whether he's a Muslim, but presumably, I mean, he's Indian rather than. So I don't know whether, but literally. Went to the University of Bradford. He agrees with his government. He's moving to Leeds and commuting because he refuses to live in Bradford on the grounds that a man from the United Arab Emirates thinks that they're all radical.
Well, they said they can't even come to this country anymore to study. They won't recognise the degrees. Anyway, look, Anna McGovern's here. She's chatting about all kinds of things, and we've got a balmy brunch. Finn Adams, a Beanhead coming up as well a bit later.
Have we? Where is he?
I don't know. We don't know. He'll be in about 20 minutes.
Where's Beanhead?
Beanhead. He's in the building, apparently.
I know what we've done because we knew that every front page would be the same thing. We brought Beanhead in to help.
Exactly. He'll get right down to the bottom of this. So it's Talk with Andre and Ash, Anna McGovern, and later Beanhead. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, it's the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Anna McGovern. I just want to say one thing on the front page of Daily Star. Do you mind me just saying this?
Daily Star?
I think you'll find it's a right riveting read. Look at those two police officers that are having to take Andrew back to Windsor.
Well, is that his own people? Because he's going home there. So that could be his own security.
I assume they are royalty protection, aren't they?
Yeah, that's
paid
true.
for privately.
So they might be a bit...
You know, I've seen now they've made this into memes on X where they've made AI videos of
some
him.
Brilliant stuff out there. It has been a vintage day. I can't think of a day that has been as good for memes since Richard Hawkins died. What's his name? Sorry.
Stephen Hawkins.
Stephen Hawkins. When he died, it was a vintage day for me. It really was. His last words, do. You remember that? When you turned off.
Yeah.
They don't look too happy. I think what you have to do.
There you go. Look in stereo.
I think you have to. I think what the king has had
Put your
to do
3D goggles on now. Yeah.
Is hire royalty protection because he's still at risk. But I think they'd be paid for rather.
Charles would have to pay, or someone else would have to pay as usual. Maybe, well, not Epstein, no. King, law must take its course. That's the Metro. Andrew's first royal arrested for 379 years. Police quiz Charles' brother over misconduct in public office after Epstein emails. Again, the Times. The arrest of Andrew. And these papers are showing it in that special big old-style headlines. Law must take its course, says King. Police search homes over leaked papers. Claim first royal arrest in 350 years.
Can I ask both of you this question?
Shoot.
Are you pleased that he's been destroyed? I mean, forget the criminal charges.
I even feel, I don't know what he's done. I feel a bit sorry for him in that, you know what I mean? He looks, maybe
Is he just, because there is another argument, which is, first of all, he's got no role in life, which has been a problem for Harry as well. Got nothing for him to do. And basically, he's just a not very bright man surrounded by the world's leaders.
And now everyone's sort of...
And now the fact that basically... can he actually just stand up and say, I'm a mindless idiot who never thought about any of this stuff?
I don't... But then...
We can't do that.
No.
But it's probably true.
I think, though, when you're in that position, you've got... You can't... that's what happens.
But he wasn't in that position because he wants to be in that position. He was born into that position. I support what they do in Japan. Which is they have literally ex-royals. There are people where they go, right, okay, you are superfluous. Now you've got to the age of 18, we're going to pay you off, and you will leave the royal family.
No, I don't know. I don't particularly feel sorry for him. I think after everything that's now coming out,
can I ask you this? Because this is one of the things I respect you about. Is it a woman thing?
Well, I think, as well, that everything that's coming out about him, he's put himself in that situation. I believe the communication was kept for quite a long time. No, I don't. I think this was a very long time coming. So, no, I don't. I mean, yeah, possibly is.
Because what you might say is this, and I said this the other day. Bear in mind, this runs in the morning, so why don't we slightly anonymise the words? But if you were a P, right, then there are effectively two types, aren't there? There are those that have the mental illness of being interested in very, very young children. That is one group. And then there's the other group who basically exploit teenagers, right? Who are probably don't have a medical mental illness. They're just not very moral people, right? I think is my central contention. What it seems to me when I watch about a lot of these P scandals is it seems to be fundamentally, stupid, sort of personalityless celebrities and powerful people can trick teenage girls into coming into their lives in a way you wouldn't be able to trick a 25-year-old woman. Do you see what I mean? And so I think a lot of it is literally exploitation. I think being
actually interested in prepubescent children is totally
exactly right. But when you're looking at somebody like Andrew, the allegation is not that he's got the mental illness, which is P, right? What the suggestion is that basically, as an example, teenagers from Siberia who wanted to be models were offered an opportunity to come to the Caribbean for a modelling contract, which was very much not a modelling contract.
It's still an abuse, you know what I mean? It is still an abuse.
And I think that if I was female, it would strike me that I would think back to my 16, 17-year-old self and think, actually, I could have been hoodwinked really quite easily. Now, you're not going to get hoodwinked in that way if you're male or it's certainly less likely. But I think if I was a woman, I'd sit back and go, these young girls are vulnerable because they don't realise.
Apparently he did have boys as well, if your proclivity was for boys at the island. He could order you some.
Well, yeah, I mean, exactly. When you're a younger woman as well, you're an older man. Yeah, you're in a position to abuse younger children. And, it puts them in incredibly vulnerable positions. So, yeah,
I have to say, it must have been, and this is the bit that we know about Jeffrey Epstein. So let's forget Prince Andrew. But let's go back to Jeffrey Epstein. I mean, Siberia, Yakut is the most remote, one of the most remote places on Earth. Its average temperature is -40, right? If you have been found by a quote-unquote talent scout in Siberia, this might be your first time, not out of Russia, but your first time out of Siberia. It might be the first time out of your city. You can't speak English, you can only speak Russian. Suddenly, you're on this island with these people insisting they have sex with you. I mean, that must be a pretty terrifying experience in reality. I mean, actually, probably worse than what Victoria Roberts-Giuffre went through, because at least because she could speak English, she had some understanding of what was going on.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. She said,
There's nothing to say about that one. He's just full agreement. Daily Express, King's deepest concern after his brother Andrew is arrested on his 66th birthday. The law must take its course. And that's all on there. The Daily Mail. Downfall. Looking haggard, shamed and haunted, Andrew is released from police custody 11 hours after his arrest plunged the modern monarchy into its gravest peril. The haggard Andrew, Mountbatten Windsor, was driven away from a police station last night following his arrest that shocked the world.
So we can't see these articles that have been put into the Daily Mail. But Sarah Vine says how the King responds will define his legacy. True or false?
No, I think completely true, and I think the public as well would be quite interested to hear from him. This is a developing story. We're going to learn more, but I think the public would appreciate to actually hear something more concrete.
But see, the problem is, do you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of Pope John Paul II and the paedophile scandal. It's basically Pope John Paul II, being Polish, was elected to oppose the Soviet Union. He was elected as Pope for that, and he was brilliant at that. By the time the whole Catholic Church scandal, I've used the P word now, but when the whole Catholic Church, when that scandal broke, he was so old, he was just past it. It's very clear that King Prince Charles, as I like to call him, his biggest achievement was being Prince of Wales. And really, as king, is he going to do anything groundbreaking? Would he have done anything groundbreaking anyway?
I guess so. But I think as well, he's the king, and I think this is obviously this is a groundbreaking story. We've never seen anything like this before. Biggest scandal of all time, and I think people would probably want to hear from him personally.
But how? I mean, it's quite, I mean,
well, I think
he can't be done in for contempt of court because of crown immunity. So maybe he could just stand up and say something. I don't really know. I mean, I think it's a difficult situation. I think I've got two things. I think it's right that royals have more scrutiny than before, but one would hope that scrutiny would have exonerated them of any wrongdoing.
On your smart speaker, on your smart TV.
The Financial Times, Trump sets 10-day window to decide on Iran strikes as US builds up forces. Tehran push for deal. Oil up 6% in 2 days. Revolutionary Guard drills. UK wary of base use. So they're going to refuse. We're going to refuse the Americans to use our bases. They can't refuse.
There you go. It's the wrong way around. There you go, Anna. Look.
There you go.
Some's double-sided and some's not arrived at all. Don't worry about it.
Now, this is interesting. Dame Antonia Romeo has been named as the country's top civil servant, but once she emerged as front-runner for Cabinet Secretary, several people with knowledge of a past probe into alleged bullying by her raised concerns. Lord Simon MacDonald, Foreign Office Permanent Secretary at the time of the investigation, also said last week that if she was appointed to the top Whitehall job, it would indicate that due diligence still has some way to go.
No, I actually think I would not appoint anybody to Cabinet Secretary unless they'd been meticulously accused of bullying over the years. And I'll tell you why. Because actually, bullying allegations in the workplace, in my view, and HR are going to hate that, HR are going to hate this, but actually are a sign of bullying. So basically, your boss has come to you and asked you to do something which you don't want to do or can't do. You go, he's a bully, in order to get
That's
HR,
all it is now,
order to get HR to stop. So I think anybody who has not been regularly accused of bullying should not be. You should be banned.
Yeah, you're not doing their job well enough.
In the civil service, though. I mean, basically, I mean, do you remember Dominic Raab was accused of bullying for throwing a tomato at someone? I mean, first of all, he clearly didn't throw a tomato at anyone. It was obviously ludicrous. But basically, the civil service.
It was an onion.
The civil service trade unions were basically saying, any government minister who shouts at any of our members should now be, denied the right
do you
to have
remember
public
Priti
office.
Patel as well? Priti Patel was accused of bullying the head of the civil service at the time. Do you remember?
I'm sorry, bullying is something that happens when you're 13, not when you're 40.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. It's pathetic. He said he was traumatised and he left, didn't he?
Traumatised. I mean, this country might be heading for a war. If you are traumatised by some woman shouting at you for failing to do your job.
A small woman as well. She's very short.
I mean, it's pathetic. I think it's pathetic. I think anybody who's accused of bullying in the civil service should be sacked immediately for incompetence. And the Cabinet Secretary should be forced to bully at least 3 idiots during their career.
Anyway, we'll just go to a break on this point. US portions have downsized. Can you believe it? Supersized servings that have long defined American dining have shrunk as rising costs and the growing use of weight loss drugs prompt restaurateurs to offer smaller portions. Shrinkflation. I mean, if you ever go to the States, you just got a medium, like Coke or whatever. It's like that size, you know what I mean?
No, the worst
Massive
one.
portions.
The worst one in Britain is does anyone eat the instant noodles?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Right.
Which ones?
No, you think the Maggie ones or whatever, you think they're stacked like that, but they're stacked like that. There's only 4 in a packet now where there used to be 5.
Oh yeah. Oh, you mean those noodles in the sort of sheets?
Yeah, so when you've got a pack of
stir fry noodles.
Yeah, you've got a pack of them.
Oh, I haven't checked that.
You've got a pack of the instant noodles. They used to be facing the front. They're now facing the side.
Yes,
so it looks like
that,
yeah.
You know those nice chocolate biscuits that they say there's more chocolate than a biscuit?
Yeah, go on.
There's only 8 in them now. There used to be 9. And on that bombshell, we'll be back with Anna and Beanhead after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
So this is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Anna McGovern. One of the big stories this week was Rupert Lowe saying that Restore UK will now become a national political party. I have to say, I was completely confused when he said that he was asking people to be candidates from Advance UK and from Reform and from the SDP. I assumed that there were going to be some form of joint tickets. In fact, I even put a poll on my YouTube channel saying, do you agree with them running joint candidates between Restore and Advance? And then I spoke to Ben Habib, who said that simply isn't happening. Okay, Anna, what is going on, and are we happy or sad?
So I think it's definitely good competition for Reform as well. So now they've recently announced they have 70,000 members.
Yes.
And so that's probably gone up now. And they only announced that they're launching as a national political party on the 13th of February. So it's not even been a week.
No.
And already they have all of these members and they've galvanised a really big movement behind them. And I think as well what it comes down to, I think people have been losing faith in Reform. I know for me personally, when it was the last general election, I actually spoiled my ballot because I wasn't fully there with Reform. I actually joined Reform because of Rupert Lowe and then everything that then took place.
So are you going to go, you're going to go with Rupert Lowe? I mean, what about Ben Habib? What do you think? Are they going to join up with?
Well, I think this is the question. I think from what I understand from seeing online, they're in speculation. So they've been in talks about it. I don't know. And I could be wrong. I don't think
2 days ago they had not been in talks, which was frustrating. Ben Habib is clearly up for it.
Okay.
Nick Tanconi has publicly offered to merge UKIP. I just want to say one thing about Nick Tanconi. I know UKIP's a tiny political party. They considered shutting up shop when the Brexit Party was created, but they've still got 3,000 subscribers, so they keep going as a Christian political party. We don't give Nick Tanconi enough credit for what he's doing. He is working.
He's good,
incredibly
actually.
hard.
He's good when he
No, I
speaks,
think he
isn't
is good, but then at the same time, I think
it's a tiny political party.
I think just fold under Rupert Lowe's party. I
He
think
wants
that's
that,
the
but
biggest
Rupert
chance.
said no.
Really, I didn't know that. To be fair, well, he said so. Rupert Lowe said no to Nick
Why
Tanconi.
did he say no?
Really?
It was publicly. He just said no. We're just having our own people.
No.
The problem you've got with Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib and Nigel Farage. I wasn't in the room, but they're all big characters. And I've always said that much as I like two of them individually, I've had an argument with Rupert Lowe. Not that it's relevant. He threatened to sue me. Well, he's threatened to sue everyone, so I shouldn't worry too much about that. And he's rarely in court. But we've kissed and made up a little bit. But, you know, two of them I really do like, Farage and Ben Habib. And my argument is, most of the viewers and listeners on this show would like all three of them to get together. Yeah. They don't care what the dispute is. They don't know what the dispute is. They assume that all of them, much as they are very lovely people and very great people, have put their own personal egos ahead of the wider cause.
That's what's happening,
and should really kiss, do whatever it is. Go to dinner, have a drink. They all hate each other. Well, I don't think me,
but Ben would say, you know, while the Reform Party isn't sorted, you know, I don't want to join with them. I mean, what do you think of Rupert Lowe, the supporters he's got? You know, there's some people, I've noticed there's a lot of people who are very, you know, you've got to be English and Christian and white if you want to stay in this country, you know. I mean, I'm not saying Rupert Lowe's saying that, but he's bringing in a lot of those people who
So I think it was Charlie Downs who discussed this. I think it was on Elon.
I thought it was disgusting what was said about Charlie Downs, by the way.
Yeah.
He's a good bloke.
And I really liked his response to that because I think often, you know, these parties are sort of be accused of, you know, if say anonymous accounts have said things that are not necessarily in the party line and what they not necessarily agree with, do they then have to justify everything that these anonymous accounts necessarily say? No. If you read their policies, their manifesto, I think it clearly states what they stand for. I don't think they necessarily have to defend themselves against other people who may say things that don't necessarily fall in the party line.
And what about this other thing that that both Restore and Advance are talking about, and I have to say I'm strongly in favour of, which is any building in the UK that has been consecrated as a church, whether deconsecrated or not, cannot be a religious institution for anything other than Christianity ever even if it's sold.
Oh, can you explain that? Give us some what was...
Yeah, so the idea is, so let's just be technical. You can't turn a church into a mosque. They're going to make it illegal. And I have to say, I'm strongly in favour of that. And I'll tell you why I'm strongly in favour of it. Because I think that this is going to sound a bit knobbish, but I think we need to maintain the infrastructure of Christian Britain. I think we need to say, OK, some churches are not that popular at the moment, but these things ebb and flow. Ergo, what we shouldn't do is simply have Christianity retreating from entire territories within the UK. A ward is a territory for the purposes of religion, isn't it? So, you know, as an example, St Catherine's Parish in Loughton, where I was baptised, no longer has a church. Right now, that's fine, but equally that site, which was turned into housing, should not become a mosque either, or indeed a seat.
Is there a plaque about your christening there? There should be.
No, but there is a nice little graveyard in the middle of a housing estate. Do you know I love graveyards?
There's a word for that actually. They are interesting graveyards.
I love graveyards because graveyards are an opportunity for ordinary people to put up memorials to their family in the same way that the very rich and powerful can do with things like statues and whatever. But to go back to the point, these are religious institutions. They have planning permission to be religious institutions at the moment. If you buy a church and convert it into a mosque, that is entirely legal and requires no planning permission. Should we change that? Should we say that it must remain a Christian facility?
Well,
it must remain either Christian or nothing.
But they turn them into luxury flats these days as well.
No. So Habib and Lowe are not saying that you can knock it down. You can turn it into luxury flats. You can live in it with some
not
people,
another religion.
but it can't be another religion.
Well, I mean, we're a Christian country, so we should. I think
isn't that Christian law a rule in Christianity that would, you know, it is in a lot of religions that you wouldn't be allowed to.
Well, I think we should preserve Christian values.
I think actually, if I'm being totally honest, the reason that Anna looked at you blank though is because the denomination that Anna and I are, the Catholic faith, has a lot of more modern churches. So it's more the Catholics you're talking about than the Protestant. Those big historic churches, I just don't think you can turn into mosques. No. So I think it is more Methodist, Baptist, Catholics, those sorts of people who will effectively sell a building, leave an area, and it will become mosque later.
They've allowed them to come in and pray in there, which I think's odd. I mean, a mosque would never allow you to go in and do Christian prayer.
I don't think there's any Catholic church.
So I think back as well to what we were saying at the beginning. I think what a lot of people have said as well. I would love to see the reform restored, that they align together and unite.
Do you think that's
I think
happen?
so much. No, I don't think so. I think too much has happened, and understandably to Rupert, I think way too much has happened that he's felt betrayed, and I think subsequently other people have felt very betrayed by reform as well. And what I found quite interesting is Nigel Farage recently at a conference. So when he was talking about Rupert Lowe, he was saying he had to go when he was talking.
Completely different reason.
Completely different reasons.
So just explain that to everyone.
I think this is where people got very confused as well, because at first, so when Rupert Lowe was ousted out of reform, so it was on the grounds of bullying allegations,
staff and threatening Zia Youssef.
And the police were sent to his house. They seized a load of his guns. So Rupert Lowe published videos of that, and then it was Nigel Farage on stage saying, the rhetoric that he was saying about mass deportation.
Although I will say one thing in defence of the police on this: any allegation of criminality where you have a firearms licence, they immediately take your guns.
It was reformed that there was a use.
I have to say, I love Nigel Farage to bits. I think he's a great guy, but it was a questionable. It was a questionable situation that he was in.
I think it was Zia Youssef that was.
When he stood up and said, I was angry with the mass deportation suggestion, which is fruity. I'll tell you about his mass deportation policy in a minute. But it wasn't the mass deportation that was the reason he was thrown out of reform. He was thrown out of reform for allegations of bullying and harassment, which were not proved, which I thought was very dodgy.
But was that the real reason, or was it an egotistical reason? You know.
So
he was doing very well. Elon Musk. Do you remember when Elon Musk backed Rupert Lowe, and that's when Farage turned a bit against him, didn't it?
So Elon Musk initially backed Nigel Farage, but now he's supporting
and that's when
Rupert
the schism happened, when he says Farage, Rupert Lowe's the man, and that obviously
but the problem is, the Nigel Farage argument, if he was sat here, would be, look, you know, there are serious concerns about my political party, and those concerns are we've got no experience in office in what is probably the most important election. I mean, I don't know how much would be left of the United Kingdom if, say, Labour or the Greens win the next general election, particularly the Greens.
But that could happen if they split these parties, Reform and...
But Farage says we have to hit the middle ground, at least to some extent. And when he said, you know, Nadine Zahawi, look, I mean, he didn't say this, but do Reform love him? No, but he's got some executive experience and can help out Danny Kruger. I mean, you know, fundamentally, whatever you think, whatever I think, the opinion polls say that he needs a bigger team with more governmental experience.
That's true.
Danny Kruger hasn't got a bad name, though, has he? He was a sort of speechwriter for Cameron.
But I think as well, and I can speak from personal experience as well, I felt very dissuaded by the Conservative Party, having been a member of them and a supporter of them. I think a lot of people felt very let down by the Conservative government. They felt lied to, they felt betrayed. And I think one issue with Reform that people are pointing out is the fact that they're recruiting a lot of people from the Conservative Party, and then it's like, well, then how different are you really going to be then from what did not work before?
It has to be said, Sir Jake Berry is a friend of mine, but he is, I mean, love him to bits as I do. I'm talking about personal friends here, which is difficult. He is the party chairman that allowed Liz Truss to leave, having been bullied out by the city because of what was pretty obviously a coup d'etat by Rishi Sunak. That is to say, I lost the election for Conservative leader. I'm now going to get my friends in the city to eviscerate Liz Truss, and I'm going to force the British government to appoint me, even though I lost the election. And Jake Berry went along with it. It's not a good look for somebody who's going to come in as a Reform person.
And then he left. Why did he leave, Rishi Sunak? We never really found that out, did we?
How do you...
Why had the election early?
Why did he call the election?
Well, I've always thought it was because he wanted, because he needed to enrol the kids in American schools.
A lot of people have said, but we've never found out, have we? Is it because he knew all the crap that was going to hit the fan? I mean, who knows, really?
I think he just didn't give a toss.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? He didn't, did he?
But then, so back to the point, I think, with Reform, I think people, like, moving to the next general election, they want a party, they want a new government that they're going to actually trust. And the Conservatives...
Yeah, but how much can you trust Rupert Lowe and Ben Habib when they're incapable of doing a deal with each other?
Well, we don't know, to be fair. Do we know that, though? We don't know what conversations are happening behind the scenes.
The critical weakness, and the reason I ask that question seriously, the claims about these parties is they're all one-man bands, and their inability to work together would suggest there is some truth in that allegation.
Well, I can imagine that there are a lot of conversations happening behind the scenes as well. I mean, so many, I've already seen as well, number of councillors are now defecting to Restore Britain as well. There's probably a lot more that's happening behind the scenes, probably more announcements that are going to come. Who knows what the future holds between them?
Maybe Jeremy Clarkson. Anyway, 0344499.
Jeremy Clarkson was a communist on Brexit. Absolute communist.
Wow. 034, and on that bombshell, we've lost Beanhead.
Where is Beanhead?
He was in the building. Beanhead!
I'm sorry.
We'll call Beanhead.
I'm going to find Beanhead.
And Runner B will be back after this with hopefully Beanhead and Anna.
Runner Bean.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yeah, it's Talk. Right, there we are. Anna McGovern's with me. Andre, because we had a guest on for now. He was in the building because we went through security and we've lost him. Barmy Brunch, the monster raving loony candidate. Finn Adams is his real name. He's a teacher, so he doesn't want his real name out there, but his real name is Finn Adams. He's Barmy Brunch Beanhead, and he's going to look at all the most bizarre stories. But Andre, have we got Andre? We can't get Andre at the moment. He's like, do you remember Treasure Hunt, Annika Rice? We've sent him around the building to try and... You won't remember Treasure Hunt with Annika?
No, to be fair.
Did you not learn it in history?
No.
At school?
No,
it's so dumbed down, the education system. But yeah, he'll be running around like Annika Rice looking for Beanhead. And we've got him now. Andre, are you there, Andre?
I'm in reception right now. The Beanhead is not here.
News.
Well, what's happened to... Have you checked the toilets? He could be lying on the floor in a pool of
Finn Adams,
beans.
the Beanhead man.
Have you
Hang on, come on. Let's hear that 20 minutes ago.
I mean, we've got state-of-the-art cameras. So you should be able to trace him in the building once he's through.
Just a bit. You can hear that 10.
He's talking to security.
Yeah.
This is
He was
live.
here for half an hour, so the Bean has gone wild and left. What we're going to do is we're going to tour local pubs right now to try and find him. Right, we'll see.
Well, I'm a bit worried. I mean, you know, it's a big building. He could be anywhere, couldn't he?
No, we know he definitely. We know that what happened was so the production staff have claimed that he was waiting for 10 minutes. Security claim he's waiting for half an hour.
So he's just walked off, like Michael Winner did once. He walked out like that.
We believe the Bean. Now I'm outside the building now, so it's going to be a little bit windy. People are absolutely.
Yeah. It's a wind tunnel out there because we're right opposite the Shard. It's like this big wind tunnel effect.
Yeah,
so tell us what's going on. There are a lot of people outside. There's a nice pizza place.
There are people staggering round. The kebab shop is open. I might get you a dirty kebab later.
A dirty kebab.
I'm going to go to the pub. And I won't have a drink because that would be an egregious breach of my contract.
I was in the pub earlier with Phil, actually, recording Down the Local with Phil.
Right.
Oh,
well,
I
okay.
did that last
week. I don't know if you're going to let me in.
What?
You're going to let me in on the phone, but here we go. Let's have a try.
Okay, let's see.
That's not Finn Adams. We can't see a Bean.
Are you at the sports bar over the road?
Yeah, we're at the sports bar, yeah.
Yeah. Watch out for the hooligans in there.
Okay, the sports bar is closed, so Finn is clearly not here. We'll just have a quick look round, see if he's... No, there is no Bean face. I mean, look, the reality is, he looks like an extra from the film Chernobyl. He can't be that hard to find.
Yeah, and he's got baked beans all over his head.
Baked beans all over his face.
His mask. He wears this, like, gimp mask with a whole full English breakfast on it.
How hard is he to find for that?
Okay, so we are struggling. We are struggling a little bit here.
Yes.
Oh, hello. That's not him, is it?
I can't believe it. We've lost Beanhead.
It's a very drunk.
So what are you going to the pub now? What are you doing, Andre?
Well, I don't think I can go to the pub contractually, but what I can do is attempt to go to the hotel, which has a bar across the road, to see if that's... But the problem is...
They wouldn't let Beanhead in there, would they?
Well, for those listening in the morning, they don't know that we're approaching midnight for the original recording of this, aren't we?
By the way, if you're listening in the morning, I think it's Mark Dolan, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, hi, yes, I'll be joining you. Join me. That was a great show. Thanks, Andre and Ash.
I think what I'm going to have to do is accept that the Beanhead has disappeared and come back. I don't see...
Beanhead. I'm very upset.
I can do anything else, if I'm being honest.
He's been and gone. That's what Adam said. Nice one. All right, well, we'll see you in a minute. I'll just have a chat to Anna then.
Indeed. Goodbye.
See you in a bit, Bubba. So, Anna, like, we were chatting in the break about, you know, you're a successful young woman and you can't basically afford to live in London. I listened to Alex the other day and she has to live in Gloucester. She's got a high-powered job, well paid. She still can't afford. She has to commute 2 hours and pay loads of tax so people who've just arrived here can live in central London on her bill. So what's your experience with it?
Well, I think there's a lot of people my age as well, in a very similar position. Especially when you graduate university, it does not necessarily guarantee you a job anymore. It's so competitive in that field. And then especially in London as well, the rental market is insane trying to...
Well, I was reading this Chinese girl. She says she's going home. She hasn't got a family. She's on £100,000 a year, and yet that's not enough in London. She pays rent of, I don't know, £2,000 and then she gets $6,000 basically. She pays $2,000 for this, then she has to pay about a couple of grand in, you know, fees and council, and it leaves her with just a couple of grand to live, which sounds a lot, but it's not really. When you're on $100,000 and you're struggling, she can't buy a place, so she has to rent. And she's just gone back to China and saying, I'm not earning as much, but my life quality is so much better.
And I think as well, a lot of the opportunities are very London centric, so a lot of the best jobs are in London, so that's why a lot of people, like, they're flocking to London, and then you do not get much for your money. Like, if you like, I can imagine if things are anywhere between 800, even then, like, probably at least 1,000 for a room in London, where you'd be sharing with other people as well. So it's really expensive. So though I think is like probably other parts of the UK is nicer than London.
Well, I say now Manchester, look, people are moving to Manchester. Young people have sort of given up, haven't they? I mean, like you say, the big industry, and this is where there are the big jobs, but even then you're not earning that much. And I think things will change in London, and especially with AI now. I mean, I was reading this graphic designer that she's just lost a $65,000 a year job because of AI. I mean, this is going to happen. The white collar jobs, the lawyers, the accountants. I mean, London will be hit a lot by all that. Yeah,
100%.
So maybe that will make it more affordable for you.
Maybe.
The houses, you know what I mean?
Though I think AI, oh my God, I can't even imagine. In the next few years, I think AI is going to unbelievably transform into, like, in terms of jobs and what we're going to see.
I think it already is, and people aren't noticing.
And it's going to get better and better.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to replace a number of people out of jobs, because AI is just going to be.
And we've already got 9 million unemployed. I mean, there's no way this can go on as it is, no matter what, even if the backbenchers don't care. So what's going on? What are you doing these days? You're still with your organisation, aren't you? What was it called again?
So I am still so involved with the Women's Safety Initiative.
And how's that going?
Oh, fantastic! So we're talking earlier in the show about the Amelia demonstration that happened.
Are you all going to be? Oh, so that's happened. Did you all wear purple wigs and that?
To be fair, I wasn't there because I had to work, but they were all there, and they were in purple wigs protesting mass immigration. So that was very. So I think that on social media that went viral, just because I think it's such a big problem in the UK as well, and they've come together to protest it, and it had a lot of impact on people, because I think women just have enough of it.
And is it building the following on and the membership?
Yeah, yeah, significantly.
Fantastic.
So yeah, that's what I've been up to.
So what have you seen in the news that you'd like to talk about? Anything else? 'Cause we've got all the papers, which is basically all about Andrew Battenberg, which is Mountbatten in German. Battenberg. Did you know that Battenberg is Mountbatten? They invented the Battenberg. That family.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's the one great thing they did do.
And this is what happens when it's tomorrow's front page. It's all pretty much identical on the same story. So, yeah.
So what are you doing this week anyway? Anything exciting?
Working. Really exciting. Oh, okay. Really exciting week that I have.
Right, well, look, if you're listening in the morning, Mark Dolan is coming up next. Yes,
He's
thanks,
great.
Ash and Andre. That was a marvellous show. Remember, you can follow Ash and Andre at Virtual Ash and Andre JP Walker, and I'll be on after the latest messages. Right, okay, now we've got a minute left, Anna, so anything you want to say before we go? Andre's back without Beanhead, so I don't know what we're going to do.
Where did he go? Beanhead?
Well, we don't know, he's disappeared.
Did he arrive?
Yeah, he was in the building, so
got distracted.
I've no idea what's happened to him, the poor guy. So, I mean, I don't know what we're going to do, but give us a ring, 0344 are you staying or are you going? What's going on?
I mean, I'm here.
You can stay.
I can stay.
Anna will stay with us,
stay if you want me to
stay. So give us a ring, and Anna, 0344 499 1000, and you can WhatsApp message us on that, a voice message if you're a bit scared, and Andre will be back after the news. So it's calls. Give us a ring. You can also message us on a text 87222. We never plug this. 87222. Text the word talk and your message, but most importantly at Virtual Ash. And at Andre JP Walker. What's your Twitter?
Anna McGovern.
Anna McGovern, back after the news.
the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, this is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Anna McGovern. I have broken the rules today, which is I'm supposed to have an earpiece in, but I've got a bit of an earache. So what I'm going to try and do is I'm going to try and put it into the wrong ear so we can listen to the calls. Okay, but the calls, if you want to get in touch, it's 0344 499 1000. Do not bother with texting us or anything like that, because the best thing to do is to get your phone, put in talk 0344 499 1000, and then you can send us a voice message via WhatsApp. So you can just rant into the phone and we will play it.
Tony says, because he's texted, it's nodes, not nodules.
Okay, you're right. When you're talking about the dark web, it's nodes, not nodules. Right, nobody cares. So what I was explaining earlier is we may have a situation in this country where, like Iran or like Afghanistan or like Pakistan, like Saudi Arabia, a lot of social media and a lot of websites are banned, and we'll all have to get the Tor browser and go on the dark web. You can go. The dark web, remember, is just a system that allows you to connect to any website in the world without the government knowing you.
Have you heard the Department of Justice in the States are going to make this app or website that people in Europe can get access to free
Yes,
speech?
I read about this on X.
It's brilliant,
all the content that would be banned in the UK or something.
You'll be able to see it
in there. Yeah.
How would you be able to connect it? Would it be through Tor?
I don't know. They'll work out. The Americans ran Tor, didn't they? So it'll be some sort of system like that, won't it?
I think what you can do is you can create a tunnel. So what happens is every day there's a new website for you to click on, and it just creates a VPN tunnel. Anyway,
I think it was the American Navy that made a Tor.
Yeah, the American Navy fund the dark web.
Tor, yeah, I think it was. Anyway, it's time for our religious instruction with Ken in London. Ken, a very good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Have you got a message for us?
Yeah, well, a very important subject, I believe. Hopefully it's interesting for you. I think it will be. I would like to talk about the moral collapse of the UK. Right now, this is my opinion as a Christian. I believe that the UK and Western society were drowning under a flood of sexual perversion. And this AI, which is coming, will increase it immensely, in my opinion.
Yes.
Sexual filth and degradation has taken over our land. This is a fact.
What are we going to do, Ken?
Well, the only thing we can do is turn to God, but that is very...
Ken, can I ask you this question? I think it is the job of every person to have their own personal journey to do the right thing. And I think that if you do the right thing, sometimes it's a bit harder in the short term, but in the long term, you will have a happier life as a result of doing it. Do I worry that we as a country make it hard to do the right thing? And we're making it harder all the time. I think we're putting more temptation into people's way. And also, we don't venerate what's important. We don't venerate family. We don't venerate community. We don't venerate God. We don't venerate all those things.
It's all mocked,
so
isn't it? They all mock it.
Yeah, absolutely. So if somebody is doing the wrong thing, Ken, to what extent is it their fault, and to what extent is it our fault as a country for not helping them enough?
Well, the Christian community, we need to speak up, the genuine Christian community. But listen, here's a thought. There's a deadly cancer of pornography has taken over our land and Western society.
Yes.
It's a sexual takeover by pornography in Western society and in the UK. This is big bad news, especially for children.
Oh, it is.
In fact, I just read that the latest news about children is children ages from 7 to 8 are watching hardcore porn on smartphones.
Horrendous.
This is unbelievable.
Can't be good. In our day, you just find disgusting magazines in the bushes.
I have to be honest with you, Ken. I mean, I know Asher made that as an entirely serious point. You know, we all remember.
That was where we got it.
We
from,
all remember that. We all remember the hand-me-down porn mags of the 1980s and 90s. You know, this was nudity. What you're watching now, videos of hardcore pornography, are an entirely different proposition.
It's abuse, a lot of it. Yeah.
Listen, you're talking a lot of sense, both of you tonight, and I'm very pleased to say that. But I would like to talk about the devilish sexual abuse of children now being committed in this land.
Yes.
It's amazing that the increase, what I've been reading in the papers, the increase in the sexual abuse of children is rising to epidemic state. And when you even look at it, where it's coming from, for years, in the Roman Catholic Church and the Anglican Church, the priests were abusing young children for years. Now, what happened? This is getting into a political realm here. Some bishops in these churches were willfully covering up the abuse in the churches to protect the priests.
Yeah,
they absolutely were.
Pope Ratson.
Before I get Anna McGovern to respond to that.
I can't actually hear him. So
nevertheless, you will respond.
We've done it again, Ken. We've done it again. Okay, but Ken, I want to ask you. So we will get you to respond. I'll explain exactly what he said.
That's
but
good.
What I do want to say, Ken, is this: what about this story from Bedfont School in Hounslow, who have written to parents to say that their children will be listed as racist if they don't sing Ramadan songs during assembly, even if they're Christian? That surely is another step towards some sort of crazy Islamic caliphate in Britain.
Of course it is, and that's where we're headed. But if I can just continue this wee point, this is important, I think. The priests were protected by the bishops in the churches, Roman Catholic Church and the Anglican Church. Now, what's happened in politics regarding these Muslim rape gangs in England? The politicians now are protecting the rape gangs, the perverted abusers of children. Yeah. Instead of the bishops protecting the priests, we've now got Stammer, Labour leaders protecting the perverted Muslim rape gangs. They're protecting them. It's a cover-up. Now, what happened was when they discovered the cover-up with the churches, they threw the priests out, and some of the bishops were sent to jail for covering up.
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, I believe that Stalmer and all those, if they're found out that they have covered up the evil perversion of attacking young girls, abusing young girls, if they're found out to have covered it up.
Well, I maintain, Ken.
I agree. We all agree. Ken,
I maintain, Ken. If you and I now went to rob a bank at gunpoint, and you were driving the car, and I had the gun, and you waited outside in the car, and I went into the bank. If I robbed the bank and got back in, now remember, you have not entered the bank. You don't have a gun. You've threatened nobody. Both of us would be prosecuted for armed robbery, because what they would say is you have aided in this armed robbery. You are
joint enterprise.
It's a joint enterprise. I say that Sadiq Khan, by denying that rape gangs exist, by lying consistently about grooming, by refusing to support any police investigation, I say it's a joint enterprise. I would prosecute Sadiq Khan, I would prosecute the police, I would prosecute the social workers, and perhaps even people like Keir Starmer, as if they were literally members of the gang, because I think you are if you help cover it up.
You're enabling it.
I mean,
they're accomplices. They're accomplices.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, similarly,
I listened to Khan being interviewed. It was on the television. The mayor gets questions, and he willfully refused to answer the.
Oh yeah, he pretended he didn't know what she was talking about. He was race basing her to try and say Muslim gangs. That's what he was trying to do, to play the racist card, and she didn't fall for it. And it's one of the most embarrassing clips I think he'll ever have.
But Khan is doing what the bishops did for the priests.
Yes.
Khan is covering up for the Muslims.
He's doing what the councillors did in these northern towns. It's not just northern towns, it's all over the country. They're all covering up.
Stammer is also covering up, Ash. Stammer is covering up.
Well, a lot of it was in Labour areas as well.
There is a slight difference between Sadiq Khan and Keir Starmer, both of whom I think have behaved pretty appallingly in this situation. Sadiq Khan specifically is responsible for the Metropolitan Police budget, and he is refusing to approve a budget specifically for rape gangs, for grooming gangs, whatever you want to call them, to be investigated in London. Everywhere else in the country, they have a specialist team. He is insisting that it's a conspiracy theory, despite the fact they've actually identified a grooming gang in Stratford and people went to prison. This very week, it was suggested in court that somebody had said, rape is what white girls are there for. And I invite you to respond to all of that, which is pretty shocking.
Yeah, to be fair, I only heard the end of the call because my headset was not. I've only heard part of it, but no, I think it's absolutely damning what they've done, and I don't know. If
what about Ken's central point, which is, and I appreciate you may not have heard of all of it,
yeah.
but which is, well, hang on a second. What about the people that have allowed them to get away with it? Why are we limiting ourselves to just the blokes who individually raped? I mean, he makes the point.
Well, Rupert Lowe has said in his investigation he hopes to prosecute the other people as well.
Exactly, and hold them all accountable.
Yeah, will it happen? Is it realistic?
No, you know what? I think he means what he says, and what I think what's been really interesting is like the testimonies that have come out about this as well. He's put so much work. Him and his team have put in so much work into holding them into account, and also bringing these testimonies to life, and actually, you know, people hearing about it.
So just to be clear, just to remind everybody, and Ken will probably be heartened by this, Rupert Lowe has said that he will pursue both private prosecutions and civil prosecutions. Right. Now, I have to say to you, I think private prosecutions are dangerous, simply because under rules of double jeopardy, you can get yourself into a bit of a mess. But I will say, I think suing people for damages on behalf of these young girls, I think there's going to be major problems. I think there are millions and millions of pounds worth of assets held by Pakistani Muslim families that are going to the teenage victims.
Yeah.
Am I still on the phone, Andre? Am I still here?
Yes, you are. You're still here, Ken.
Listen, thanks very much for listening to me. I appreciate it very much. We're trying to help one another here. We're trying to help the country. But sadly, according to the Bible, this flood of sexual filth and abomination, which is drowning the world, actually, is going to increase the closer we get to the return of Jesus, the Messiah. What we need to do now, the only thing we can do now is humble ourselves. Everybody, ask God for forgiveness, the God of the Bible, and turn to Jesus.
But can I ask Anna? Stay on, Ken. Can I ask Anna this question? So obviously, Ken is concerned about general moral degradation, which I think is a reasonable point. To what extent? So we can talk about uncontrolled immigration all day, and you do, but when these people come from very conservative-minded countries and they see our acceptance of pornography, they see our acceptance of casual sex, they see our acceptance of teenage pregnancy, they see our abortion on demand, you know, I'm not saying that means we ought to be victims, but I'm just saying, doesn't it send out the wrong message of what we are as a people? Shouldn't we be anti-abortion? Shouldn't we be anti-teenage sex? Shouldn't we be defending the family? And if we did all that, at least when somebody comes from a brute regime or a savage country, and believe me, I believe you are both if you come from these places, then they would go, well, they won't put up with it in this country.
Well, I think the thing is, when you're importing en masse people from a culture that don't respect women, you are going to see uptick of abuse. You're going to see more women put in danger because they don't share the same values that we do. So I don't think it's as deep as that, because I remember as well seeing in the news where they some of them were having to be actually shown PowerPoint presentations on how to conduct themselves and treat people. I remember reading that.
I mean, I saw a video, which, I mean, I've seen some disturbing videos, not disturbing, but a gentleman masturbating whilst watching what was going on in the playground.
Disgusting.
And then somebody comes up to him and goes, "You can't do that," and he's sort of quite surprised. Well, you know, that's kind of normal fare in Afghanistan. It's shocking.
And that's the thing. So I think when you're importing it en masse, you're going to see more of these.
But I saw a video of a Sudanese gentleman who had asked an 11-year-old to marry him, 11-year-old girl, and his attitude was, well, what's wrong with that? That's perfectly sensible. He was about 35. I said he's about 35. Imagine he'd been 18. It still would have been completely unacceptable. So I guess Ken. Anna slightly disagrees with you that she thinks it's more to do with uncontrolled immigration rather than just a general degradation in the morality of society. But I would like us to deal with both. I would like us to deal with both.
I think it's twofold. I think mass uncontrolled immigration is a significant factor in this, but yeah.
But what about this ludicrous thing, Anna? That and I know we laugh at it, and I know we laughed at it in the last segment. Keir Starmer believes that people can be made different. He believes that if there is a solid criminal code, if there is a solid international criminal court, then people from Afghanistan will become exactly the same as people from Tunbridge Wells. I mean, that's just nonsense.
I don't think he believes it. I think he's just a liar. He doesn't really believe it.
No, I don't, and I think this is as well with the public. They don't trust anything that he or the government has to say, and no, I don't think he truly believes what he's saying. No.
Do you believe he's a liar, Ken?
I don't know.
Of course he's a liar. I mean, look at these grooming gangs that he's trying to sort of cover up and avoid. Yeah, of course they is.
The fact is that to be a politician, you have to be able to lie with a smile on your face.
He's no good at that either.
Sad. That's one of the biggest problems that the politicians have to deal with today. The country are fed up with liars.
Yeah, but I think there will be a new breed of politician who tell the truth. I mean, the reason you're popular on this show, Ken, is not because people agree with you on everything. It's because they say, at least as a decent fella, stand up for his principles. Anyway,
and you feel like something's washed over, something pure when Ken's been on, don't you?
I'll tell you what. I bet Ken was rough in his day. Anyway, we're going to go to.
Well, Anna, are you going now? Are you?
I can stick around.
She's going to show you a little segment, Nicholas, Dan, Robert, Liam, Keith, Dave, Graham, and Alex will be with you all, or probably after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk. Do you know what? Can I just say what I was saying a second ago?
Yeah.
So I remember when my brother used to be a radio presenter, they used to have this thing, you'll remember it on commercial radio, where they used to go, it's our competition time, and if you're caller 96, you'll get through. There's not 96 phone lines into the building. You can't possibly be caller 96. The way you used to win those competitions was if you went, oh my God, I've never been on the radio before. Then they go, yeah, pick that person as the winner because it'll sound better. That's true, isn't it?
I've never seen any of that.
All right, Robert is in Hertfordshire.
Bob.
You're on Talk.
Hello,
Hertfordshire, Bob.
Hello, gals. Just want to, before I start my rant, I just want to give you a quick joke. What do you call a Russian bedpan?
Do you think a
Who's
tortoise?
your Nikobolikov?
Putin.
Putin.
Putin. Yeah.
Oh. Have you ever heard the... right, there's one that I can't tell you. There's one that I can't tell you, which is what do you call the Serbian prostitute, and it's related to Slobodan Milosevic, but it's not. It's rude. It's too rude. Yeah. It's too rude.
Well, what's your rant about, Bob?
I'm going to start my rant.
Now begin the rant, please, if you will, Bob.
Sorry?
And now, if you will begin your rant.
Okay. British history is defined by ages. This is the age of getting away with it. Nothing's going to happen to Prince Andrew. Don't waste your time on it. Nothing's going to happen to Peter Mandelson. You know, you need to keep us focused on what's happening. I happen to think that you and Andre are the best presenters by far on radio. But you've got
no doubt about it, yeah.
No, you've got an obligation. Okay, let me ask you a question. How many migrants come today? You don't know because...
847.
How many?
He's lying.
No, I didn't.
No, you need to keep... We've got a government who's going to take us to war.
Yeah.
We've got grooming gangs that are getting away with it. We've got a mayor that's covering... I don't care about Andrew. Nothing's going to happen to him. Sod him.
No, but hang on. So first of all, that was my instinct as well. I'm not interested. But I have to say, there is a general diminution of standards in public life, and one of those is, hey, I'm going to give government secrets away to my sex offender friend because he lets me come and play with whatever on his island.
That's the allegations.
That's the allegations against. Well, I didn't mention any person in particular, but that is what is being suggested. And my argument is, and I've always said this, right? So I've talked about the fact that I'm going to start doing a campus tour for Turning Point UK. My view is this. Charlie Kirk was shot. They don't have enough bullets for all of us, and it's my job to step forward. But people in Parliament don't think like that.
I'll tell you the one big thing about this, Robert. I know you might not care, and I know what you mean, but this sort of shows no one would ever thought this would happen to Prince Andrew. He's actually been arrested, so if he can be arrested, anyone can be taken now. So, you know, if you've been a bit naughty, you'd be worried now.
And if you've persuaded the Thames Valley Police to do something about the political left, then by God, you've done all right.
Anna, what do you think about it?
The only thing that's going to make out of it is the lawyers. And it's like,
well, that's the usual thing, isn't it? Yeah.
They should just fling him out of the country and his ex-wife.
She's already out of the country, conveniently.
Well, yeah,
I think she's probably going to stay there with the things going on at the moment.
I don't believe that Charles should abdicate at the moment because
I don't get the abdication thing.
Well, he can't anyway, and you know he's not well, and you know just unless other things come out that make it untenable.
Yeah, but abdicate requires an act of Parliament.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really.
And normally it's for your heirs and successors. Which would probably mean,
Andrew becomes
Andrew would become the king.
Well, no, William would be next in line.
No, if you abdicate for yourself and your heirs and successors, it means that Andrew becomes the king.
No, but if he abdicated, wouldn't William become?
No, normally you abdicate and renounce on behalf of yourself and your heirs and successors.
But then the Parliament wouldn't allow Andrew to be king, would they? Parliament
No. So you abdicate. You say, I abdicate on behalf of myself and my heirs and successors.
We'd have Princess Anne as queen because she's the most like the queen.
Well, she looks like a horse, doesn't she?
I mean, there are a couple of grafters. They do graft. I mean, Princess Anne don't stop grafting, whether you like her or not. But you know, the Queen's got to take. I know, God rest her soul, but she's got to take a little. She helped to pay off his only child.
I think it's reasonable to say, Anna, that another head of state, not held in so much esteem, would have been hounded out of town for paying £12 million
That's what I was
to
going to
somebody.
Say, 12 million, wasn't it?
As somebody who is rightly or wrongly accusing her son of sex offences, rightly or wrongly, give him 12 million. I think there is one defence of the Queen though. The NDA was only for the year that she was of her jubilee.
Yeah.
That was it. So after that, you could do what you wanted.
I heard one person say that was it to distract, like because it was around the time of the jubilee.
Yes.
But then I think this is what I was saying earlier. I think people need to hear from King Charles now. They need to hear from something because
well, he has come out and he said, you know, the law will follow its course.
That's not enough.
I think.
Well, he can't say anymore because of the allegations.
I'm saying when it develops, because of course this is a developing story. More is going to come out.
I think he will say more if more comes out.
If you
I think he will have to.
He'll have to. Yeah.
If you wanted to be a shit to Queen Elizabeth II, here's what you would say. You would say she knew she had bone cancer, she knew she was terminally ill, and actually she signed the deal with Virginia Roberts-Giffray in the knowledge she'd die before it became a problem, and therefore everyone would be able to go, it was her fault, and clear Charles of everything. And now I don't know if that's true, but but it's pretty obvious she knew she'd be dead before the doo-doo hit the fan.
Well, I think as well, and again, this is a developing story, but that's why I think we need more answers. And I think King Charles will be put in a position where he has to respond, because otherwise,
if you were his PR advisor, what would you tell King Charles to do?
Well, again, we don't know what's going to come out.
No, but I mean, at this stage, I would say, unfortunately, you have to wait it out.
Well, that's sort of what he said, isn't it?
So, he's made a statement now.
He said the law must follow its course.
That's all you can say. I mean, because, again,
but also, I think it's also, and I don't want to be awful, I think it's also clear that Charles is not long for this world. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he's not going to die imminently, but I mean, this case against Andrew could take 3 years, right? Is he going to be alive in 3 years' time? Probably not. Therefore,
could be.
Well, I don't know either, so I'm not privy to anything. But I mean, the man is old and sick, right? Therefore.
But his parents lived till 100. If he's cured of the cancer...
Well, OK, maybe. I think the other option is, well, Charles has gone as well. Now William, who is venomous against Andrew, takes the lead. And there's a trial, there's a conviction, there's a jailing, if all that happens.
Yeah.
And William's a clean skin.
Wow.
And William seems a pretty... he's strong. And
he's willing to be brutal with
I have seen some people saying they were urging King Charles, you need to step down, let William take over.
No, but the problem is... It doesn't work like that.
But thinking this out as a PR advisor... If there's going to be a trial, we don't know there's going to be a trial. If there's going to be a trial, you want it under the reign of King Charles, right? Right? And then you want, after it's finished and it's all awful and everything's
so the smell's all gone away.
And then William comes in.
Yeah.
Well, I think so. I think
because what happens is the lefties will do the following: you get King Charles out. Right. Now remember, the outcome is uncontrolled immigration, an Islamic caliphate and a republic. That's the aim. They're not bothered about Jeffrey Epstein. They're not bothered. I mean, I think it's reasonable to point out that the political left in this country are not worried about victims of child rape, right? Because I think we've proved that already, haven't we? Right? Nor misconduct in public office. Not interested in that. So what you do is, you force Charles out. What did you know and when? Force him out on that basis. Then force William out as well on the basis that he's there when Andrew's been convicted and is insufficiently brutal towards Andrew. You've done two of them. And the aim is, remember, the aim is a caliphate.
Robert, what do you think? Should get Robert?
Robert, you want to go home now, don't you?
No.
Robert, have you got anything to say to Anna? Are you going to stay again for the next segment?
Oh, you've
she
convinced
stay?
Me twice now to stay.
You don't have to.
I might stay. I could stay.
That's it. So
okay.
Anna's going to stay, and we're another segment, everyone. Hooray! 0344499111000. Say goodnight, Robert. See you, Robert. We'll be back after this.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is The Late Show with Andre Walker, Ashley Gould, and Anna McGovern. And Anna McGovern is staying because my new car is coming tonight. You know that Talk very kindly paid for me to get a driver home, and I have the same driver every night. His name's Kuram, and I'm told it's a BMW 7 Series with TVs in the back. Long wheelbase. Yeah, like limo version. Right. I'm like a rap star. And then when I wake up in the morning, I have to walk to Tesco's because I don't drive. So it's.
Why don't you call him? Take you down to Tesco's.
I've got a friend of mine. I had a friend of mine who used to be the leader of the Conservatives at the European Parliament, and in Brussels and Strasbourg, he had his own driver, and then he used to get the Eurostar.
Yeah.
He used to get the Eurostar, and when he got the Eurostar back to London, he used to have to get the bus. And he said it was quite good actually being an ordinary dad in London and then being this very important person in Brussels and Strasbourg.
In Brussels.
Okay, we got Liam in Accrington. Liam, you're on Talk.
Accrington, Liam.
Hi guys.
In Thacky.
All right, man.
Yeah, what I'm gonna say is, I know you sort of like touching about Andrew Mountbatten, what we can actually say.
Yes.
What actually happens if he does get convicted?
Same as you. You all right? The Crown, the sovereign immunity only applies to the King.
To the sovereign.
Nobody's
Charles, nothing could ever happen to
otherwise.
Charles, could he? Nothing could happen to Charles.
No, so the bit that people forget, there's a bastardisation of our system. What used to happen is you used to be tried by a jury of your peers. Which used to be in the House of Commons, in the House of Lords, the House of Lords, and then for the King, nobody at all. God.
Andre, sorry, would the King have to abdicate?
No.
Because of this?
No, not at all. Just to be clear. Just to be clear to everybody.
What if he knew something about
Well, that would be different.
Okay. The point that Asher keeps making is about process. You have to understand, you cannot resign as king. Abdicate is not a resignation. What is required is a majority in the House of Commons, a majority in the House of Lords, and the King himself to sign it. It is a piece of law like any other piece of law. You would have to sit down and you have to write the legislation to remove you from office. That's the only way it can be done.
The last one was King Edward VIII.
Edward VIII.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Treachery for handing secrets to the Nazis.
Well, yeah, exactly.
I think actually he was forced
coming over again, if you know what I mean, and then not to the Russians.
But you'd be mad if you were King Charles when you're in the last few years of your life to abdicate, because what you would do is you would hand the, sorry to use a bad word again, the bucket of shite or the dead cat to your son at the beginning of his reign. What you want to do is you want it to be in your reign, and then wait for everyone. So say as an example, I'm not saying this happened. Andrew's in prison, Charles is sick, right? And then Charles dies, Andrew gets released, he retires forever, and William comes in, Zadok the priest, and everyone's happy.
Well, to be honest, with Charles, he isn't Queen Elizabeth, is he?
No, but he was the best Prince of Wales ever, which was all he was ever going to be anyway.
He's very
I
good
mean,
at that.
let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. You know, I sit in this seat now, right? James Wales' seat. I'm not going to be.
I miss him.
I'm not going to be the greatest guy at late night phone calls. It's not possible. The crown has already been taken by James Wales. It's not possible to do it. The reality is,
Andre, you are doing a great job.
Okay, I appreciate that. But what Queen Elizabeth II, by her longevity, did was created King Prince Charles, as the longest-serving Prince of Wales ever. Now, if you look at that, he built Poundbury. He created the Prince's Foundation for Architecture. He created the Prince's Trust.
Those nice biscuits, he made them.
Yeah, he did.
I was actually on the Prince's Trust.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, tell us about that. What did you do on it?
It was in Burnley, and I absolutely loved it.
What were you doing? What was your Prince's Trust?
We created a community centre.
Oh, that's
brilliant.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Do you know my brother's the stadium announcer at Turf Moor?
Oh, really?
Yeah, he is.
Right.
That's killed that.
Say hello to him.
Well, I'm not really a football fan, but we did do a bit of football thing, with mental health.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was brilliant.
And of course, the other thing that he did was he quadrupled the earnings of the Duchy of Cornwall by Duchy Originals.
Yeah. He knew how to make a few quid.
That organic brand.
Mind you, they weren't competing with other businesses on a equal playing field because they have a lower corporation. It's like an ancient law, ancient charter of the Duchy of Cornwall.
Well, I mean, anyone who's been and bought some Duchy Originals will tell you that it's not a cost thing, right? They cost a bloody fortune.
Nice biscuits.
Anyway, Liam, thank you so much. By the way, just to remind the gallery and you to send in your voice messages 0344 499 1000. You just put them on WhatsApp. You just hold down that button that looks like a microphone, scream into, talk into it.
You can scream if you want.
Okay, let's go to Christopher in Chelsea. Chris, you're on talk.
Hello, gents.
All right, man.
Sorry,
and Anna's here as well.
Panel. My apologies. I'd just like to ask a question, and it may be a philosophical one, but is it important to any of us that the projections are that by 2060, 2070, that as white Anglo-Saxon British, we will be a minority in our own
Well, does it matter, like we've had it handed to us by our parents and grandparents, would you not want to hand over the same society to your, descendants? Or do you want them to just live in some other world? It's a nice...
Christopher asked the question, does it matter? Yeah,
it does matter for that reason.
I think so. I think in this context, ethnicity and culture are tied together, because what we're talking about is not necessarily the preservation of a white race in Britain. What we're talking about is moving in cultures from abroad, alien cultures, and then making Britain, rather than making new migrants into people who believe in Anglo-Saxon democracy, freedom, rights, property rights and free speech, instead making the existing population change to become more similar to people from, say, Bangladesh, Eritrea, Somalia. And so I think when people talk about this ethno-nationalism thing, I think it's kind of irrelevant. I think the key issue is not the colour of people's skin. The key issue is the people we're bringing in dislike the culture of the country they're coming to, and we are determined to eradicate that culture. What do you think, Chris?
Well, so fast forward the clock, 200, 300, 400 years, we're all a lighter shade of brown, and the Anglo-Saxon bloodline doesn't exist anymore. Is this important or is it not?
I don't think it's so much Anglo-Saxon. I mean, this country, Anglo-Saxons have been here, 1,400 years? This country goes back a lot further than that. But it's the culture, the English culture, and that's been brought about by the people before the Anglo-Saxons on the Romans. And it's been built up over hundreds and hundreds of years, and it will just get destroyed.
I just wonder whether we shouldn't ask you that question, because I mean, my instinct is that I want the country to continue as it is at the moment. My instinct is to say that I'm pretty sick of people coming to the country who hate the country. I'm pretty sick of us prioritising people who are new to the country for benefits over our own people. I don't know whether that means I care about people being white. What do you think?
I don't think it does matter what colour you are. I mean, people who were brown or black or white, doesn't matter, but you have that British way, and it was all fine 20, 30 years ago, and everyone was getting on, and it was mixing beautifully.
It's a good question, and this is why I asked the question, does it matter? What about Anna? What are Anna's...
She don't care at all. No, go on, what do you think, Anna?
I think...
Do we have to be white?
I think what it comes down to as well, and I think why there's been a lot of debate on this I've seen online as well, especially for Restore Britain. I think Massive aggression has massively impacted the UK. We never voted for this either.
Well, we voted against it.
And I think as well, it means that Britain is becoming completely unrecognisable. It's not just about the colour
of the skin, is it? I mean, you know, people like Ian Wright, they're very English and British.
This is precisely the point. The massive fly in the ointment of ethno-nationalism is the Caribbean, because when people come over from the Caribbean who are black, they are just not very foreign. And actually, if you were worried about maintenance of the Anglo-Saxon culture, if you were worried about maintenance of things like free speech, if you're worried about maintenance of democracy, Christianity, any of those things that you'd be worried about, somebody coming over from St. Vincent is simply just not a challenge.
I mean, look at Ian Wright as my example. He's very English. He's, you know, as English as any white person. Do you know what I mean? It's not really about the colour of your skin. It's how you're made up, isn't it?
I mean, I suppose the other way of saying it is this. Let's be clear: the majority of countries that are non-white are not like the Caribbean. So one would assume if you were to give a fair number of people from each country, then non-white immigration would reduce Anglo-Saxon culture. But I just think as long as the Caribbean exists, it's just very hard to argue.
You know, there's people from India and Pakistan that are sort of very English, aren't they? You know what I mean? So it's nothing to do with where you're from. It's whether you want to come and be British.
No, I think the issue, Anna, is that no account is taken into this. Right. So when we talk about who can come to this country, we don't care about whether people will fit in culturally. We don't care. We just say whoever you are.
We say you keep on with your own culture, and we do our own down.
I mean, a million people living in Britain legally can't speak English.
And that should not be the case at all. And I think this is why so many people outraged, because Britain's become unrecognisable. It's not about the colour of your skin. It's about the culture that we have here. And
actually, when you go down these streets where Robert Jenrick was talking about it and whatever. It's not that everybody's non-white, because actually many people who've come to the country are actually white. It's when it looks like Mogadishu, you know what I mean, in terms of the shops, in terms of what's on sale, in terms of, you know, the general cultural vibe.
He was talking about Handsworth, and that's where I went to school, and that was, you know, hardly any white people there in the 80s, and it was fine, it was quite a nice, you know, you have like a Chinatown, it was a bit like that. It's different to what's happened later on, you know, maybe where people started. I mean, Handsworth isn't really, if you go to Spark Hill, it's got more people that maybe want to be more, you've got to do it our way or this, whereas Soho Road in Handsworth was Sikhs, Hindus and Muslims, and it just became a bit like you know, that part of the world, but it was still a sort of a place you went and visited like Chinatown, whereas there's other areas now, you know, Brick Lane, you visit it, but it's definitely got, you know, this is our turf, you know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Sorry, I cut you off. Anna, we'll give you the final word before we go to the break.
I think for me, we were talking about earlier about the Women's Safety Initiative. I think that for me personally, the biggest concern is about women's safety, because as I said earlier, if you're importing en masse people from a culture that do not respect women, you're going to see an uptick in abuse. You're going to have more women who feel endangered by mass immigration.
I mean, that's just a fact. That's what's happening.
That's why I formed the Women's Safety Initiative as well, and that's why women are protesting against this.
But the answer from migrants is, wear a burqa, you'll be fine. I mean, I'm not joking.
And that will be the thing that happens next. People go, oh, well, I may as well do it because you get harassed. Women will go, oh, I'll put it on and this is probably what happened in Iran.
No, and that's why we shouldn't have to be in this position.
Correct.
Anyway, she's agreed to stay till the end of another segment because he's going to give her a lift home. So it's Andre and Ash at Virtual Ash, at Andre JP Walker, Anna McGovern. It's Talk. We're back for the last portion with Keith, Nicholas and Yasmin, the the middle-aged witch after
this.
She's
a teenage witch.
UK. On DAB+. On your smart speaker. On your smart TV. And on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk. Let's go to young Sheldon, who is in Swansea. Sheldon, you're on Talk.
Good evening, Andre. Good evening, Ash.
All right, and Anna's here.
Okay.
All right, Sheldon.
Let's cut to the chase, shall we?
Yeah, man.
I think we're heading for a constitutional crisis here.
Okay, go on, why?
Okay, I think it started with the death of Diana. At that point, something was said to the royal family which should have put them firmly in their place. That the people of this country were more concerned with her than they were with them.
Yes.
And it proved it. It was absolutely the most phenomenal outrage that they've ever faced.
That's true.
Yeah, but the Queen realised that, and you know they realised that they were.
She never forgave Tony Blair, though, did she?
Yeah, she never gave him the Garter because of that, and because he got rid of her boat, the Britannia.
Indeed.
And put his hand on her shoulder.
It was pretty awful. Yeah, and then we come to today, where we have the King's brother being interviewed by the police.
Yes.
This is probably the most important thing that's ever happened to the royal family in 350 years.
Yeah.
Perhaps longer.
Since Charles I had his head chopped off.
Indeed. They can't chop his head off,
No.
but they're in deep trouble. Now, the way I see it is this. Our dear old lady, the Queen, who I admired all my life, definitely give £12 million to cover up a scandal.
Correct.
And £12 million is a lot of money to cover up some sort of scandal, which we don't fully understand.
It's a lot of money to pay for somebody you've never met. Let's just be clear. Even though you're admitting no liability, it's an odd choice if you didn't know them.
Everyone knew what had happened.
Somebody knew something, whoever they were, whether it was her, whether it was our dear King, or whether it was their advisors. They knew something.
Yeah.
And the problem is today, we have social media. We have a young generation who no longer take being taken for mugs.
Yeah.
Everything is everywhere. It's out in the
And they don't care about authority because they look at the state of their lives and how we've left them in stuck, and they go, well, we're not going to respect authority.
They were supposed to be the apocryphal family that we looked up to.
Yeah.
They are riddled with divorce, riddled with scandal, riddled with all sorts.
Is there hope with William, do you think?
Now, my problem is this.
Even the Marchioness of Cholmondeley.
If William ever does ascend to the throne, he's going to inherit all these problems.
Only if they're not dealt with.
If they dealt with properly, perhaps they will. But if they keep on with the cover-ups, he may not.
Well, I don't think William is into cover-ups. I mean, he's pretty straightforward. Do you remember when he was called racist by Harry, and he goes, "We're not racist." He comes out and says it. Anna, what do you think about all this? Do you think it's a constitutional crisis?
Well, I mean, what with Andrew?
Well, just generally. I mean, that's.
Is there a general constitutional? I'll tell you what. I think there is a general constitutional crisis because of poor standards in government in general, and also the fact that our country's been taken over by people who hate us. Let's be clear. The reason why they're trying to get Charles out is because they see him as they see the monarchy as part of the infrastructure of us, of our people, of our history. Let's put Bob Villain in, or whatever his name is, instead.
You know what they're trying to do? They're trying to change HM government to UK government. And also, another thing that happened today, you know how Keir Starmer was always keen to say, oh, well, we've got to let the legal processes... He didn't do that with Andrew. He said, oh, there needs to be other people to talk to. He got really involved. He shouldn't be doing that. He was a former TPP and a law. And he's always the one to say, stay out of it.
Normally it hasn't come over his desk, so he didn't know.
Yeah, he wouldn't have seen it.
Can I say something?
Very well.
In response to that? Our problem is simple in Britain. We have a moral decline.
We do.
Ken is reasonable in his analysis of that.
Yeah.
And the problem with our moral decline is now infiltrated our cool royal family.
And our politicians as well.
And our politicians, they cannot
and our
prove
police, every institution, the BBC, all of it.
They can't, correct, they cannot prove that we have any moral fibre whatsoever.
No.
And I'm worried sick about the future of this country because I don't want to see a republic. I want to see what we had.
Yeah, well, it would be an Islamic Republic at this stage, wouldn't it? It would be.
Islamic Republic of the UK.
I mean, look,
unless you do something drastic.
Look, let's be clear. When we talk about the Great Replacement as a conspiracy theory, you know, what is it? 2 million people coming in a year, 1 million people leaving, or whatever it is?
It was 4.5 million people have come here gross in the last 4 years.
Really?
I mean, that's almost 10%.
So a million people from the Islamic world come every single year. And the reason why the net migration is going down is because more of us are leaving to make way for them. Fact.
Okay. Yeah. Do you actually think, Andre, that the old firm are going to survive this?
I think everything's got to change. I think that my own view. So I've said that I will stick with this country. I think if a government committed to globalism, committed to the denigration of the family, committed to uncontrolled immigration, committed to the third worldification, if you like, of our country, if they're elected at the next election, I don't know how we could do 8 years. So 3 more in this term, 5 then. I mean, in 8 years' time, I think we would struggle. Because remember, in 8 years' time, probably around 15 million more people will have come from the third world to Britain because
so
of...
How would you recognise Britain in 10 years' time?
Well, you wouldn't. So there's something like 1.7 million people who are on the road to indefinite leave to remain in the UK. They will all be entitled to bring their families over. And the current legal definition of the family, according to the courts, immigration courts, is people that you are friends with or consider brothers or sisters with. I predict that will lead to 8 million people coming to the country, and that's in addition to the million. So actually, if you were talking about 10 years, I think you'd probably get the 8 million for the indefinite leave to remain plus 1 million a year.
But the economy can't last. The economy can't last.
Well, it doesn't matter. As long as Britain is richer than Somalia, people will keep coming.
Well, it won't be richer in a couple of years.
Well, it won't.
If that was the case, guys, right?
Yeah.
Do you think that the apocryphal royal family, who represent our idea of family, are going to survive that?
Well, you would have to. I think if you got to a stage where 40% of the population were from the radical Islamic world, you would have evacuated the royal family to a safe place long before that.
I think so. Yeah.
Thank you, Yasmin, the middle-aged witch.
She's a teenager.
Hiya, darling.
All right, Yasmin, what's going on? Have you got any readings for us?
Yeah, but I'd like to say something. Hiya, Anna.
Hello, I remember you, Yasmin. How are you?
You're looking fabulous,
Oh,
Anna.
thank you.
You sure that's not me you're looking at?
Yeah, I love you. You know that, Ash. What I'd like to say is the reason why we've got a lot of migrants coming to the country is very simple. It's because after the Second World War, the governments decided they didn't want an English or a fully white country, and that's why this is happening.
Well, you know what happened after the Second World War? Because Hitler obviously gave nationalism a very bad name, but it doesn't mean you've got to kill. You know what I mean? Doesn't necessarily mean you've got to be like Hitler to be nationalist.
Hey, listen. The way that Germany opposed. The way that Germany atoned for the Holocaust was to invite 4 million anti-Semites to the country. That's not exactly.
But the thing is, what it is it was a global reset after
Yeah, it was Popper, wasn't it? It was Popper that sort of...
Which they definitely don't want Britain having more whites than any other culture. And the other thing is, in other countries they don't do this, but in Britain we can have anybody going for an MP. And you're going to see Parliament literally half Asian. Completely, the whole lot.
Yeah, so I think I predict probably a jihadi group of 40 at the next general election. Do you reckon? Probably right.
Well, we've got 5 Gaza MPs, haven't we, at the moment?
Gosh.
Listen, I'm looking forward. You're looking now. I'm looking forward. And I'll tell you another thing and all. I really believe Buckingham Palace will become a mosque. I really believe that.
Is that your prediction for the future?
It'll need a remodelling now, won't it? They'll need to remodel it a bit. You know what I mean?
Listen, I'm telling you, you don't believe.
Is it faced the right way? I know the back's the front and the front's the back.
But stop for a second. When we're taking the mick out of Yasmin's comment, Anna, just very quickly, if Britain was 40% Muslim, then the Parliament would be 60 or 70% Muslim. No. They would demand a Muslim monarch, wouldn't they?
No, to be fair, I know we're laughing about it, but I mean,
I don't mean a Muslim
that is what's happened in other countries.
I don't mean a Muslim monarch. I mean it'll be sold. And it'll be
I mean that is what happened obviously at the Temple Mount, where the temple was. It was what happened in Turkey, wasn't it? It became a mosque. I mean, here St Paul's would become the central mosque. Before St Paul's, it was a big Roman sort of spiritual place, and this is what actually happens.
The other thing is, this government, especially Keir Starmer's government, do not want English people, I'll say it the Irish way, breeding. They don't want them having children. That's why there's high taxes. That's why there's no homes for them. It's designed not to have English people repopulating and literally...
So are we allowed to say there's a genocide against the English people then?
100%.
I mean, it's a start.
It's a cultural genocide.
It's not the violent phase.
It's cultural.
It's all over Europe now.
Yeah, well, yeah.
And well,
look at Spain. They've just legalised 500,000 people, and the EU's going mad because now it's encouraged loads of other people from those countries to come to Spain, and obviously they're going to go into Europe. So it's all